Well, we're live on Instagram. You didn't press it on Facebook.
Holy shit. I did. It made a little mark like it did.
For you, 3, 2. Well, no one's watching on Instagram yet, so that's good. And no one's on YouTube. Okay.
That's all right. Welcome to episode 31 with special guest Evan Browder from CARTEL,
baby.
There you go. So tell us a little bit of what you keep.
Right now, I'm just keeping green tree pythons. I do keep carpets. I don't really have any at the moment, but I'm just kind of focused on my green trees and keeping green trees, man. Fucking awesome. Go ahead and forewarn, if you got kids, there's going to be a lot of language in this video. I'm sorry. I cuss a lot. I don't mean to, but fuck it.
Also, if you're on Instagram, we're kind of far away to try to fit all 3 of us. You can only see 2 right now, but Joe.
just go on YouTube.
Yeah, go on YouTube.
Be a much better experience.
YouTube is way better than Instagram, and Facebook's already fucking up because it sucks.
That's all right. Fuck it.
But yeah, everyone on Instagram, go to YouTube. Okay.
We're going.
So
Evan, what did you keep? Oh, go for it. Are you the interviewer?
No, I just had a question in my head, but you go.
Oh, Barbara. Holy shit.
You go.
God, this already sad.
We're both Barbara Walters.
Okay, you go.
So what did you keep before you had green trees, or what was your evolution of?
That's my question too.
Because I feel like everyone has an evolution of.
For a while, I'd say for a long time, I just kept random shit. Like I had coach whips. I even had some hots. I had Burmese pythons, king snakes. I had a green red-tailed rat snake. I had shit. I can't even tell you. Milk snakes. I've had pretty much everything. And then when was it? I want to say 2007. A buddy of mine, Mitch, said he found a boa on Craigslist and went to pick it up. So we drive out. Guy walks out with a carpet python, and I was just instantly like, "Okay, cool. Like I like that snake, you know." And you want to buy it? Hell yeah! I bought my first carpet for $40.
But wait, he sold it as a boa?
No. My buddy was going to pick up a boa and bought a boa, but he came out with the jungle.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I got my first carpet, and it fucking was over. From that point on, it was all carpets. That's all I could think about.
Was it just a coastal?
No, it was a jungle type. You know,
Yeah.
I
What does that mean?
I can't say for sure. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
The type is, there's so much mixing with jungles and coastals and everything and things like that, but a lot of people think jungles and coastals are the same thing anyway. I don't.
Okay.
I fuck no, but you know, I'm sure they are, but I can't call them that. A jungle, just that black and that yellow. I mean, there's some sitting here and nothing compares to that black and that yellow, and I just love them.
Hey, lily pad.
I think there's been less back in the day. There was less distinction of the different subspecies because not everything was yet. So like breadlie and all that, they were still carpets, even though now they're full species. So plus not many people cared about carpets. So I feel like they were like, if we mix them, whatever.
Who cares?
Deal like.
I think there was a lot of mixing, and then you get guys who just started working locale specific, a lot like the green trees, where it's instead of just a green tree python, you actually have Arus and Marukis and Biocs, and you have all these different type of locales, and it's just like carpets. I mean, they're the same basic family, and now people are just working with those pure species, and
I feel like I hear about the locales less in jungles than I do in green trees. I feel like in green trees it's very prominent, like which one, but I feel like when I hear about jungles, it's a jungle, and that's the furthest I hear about it.
I mean, you hear coastals, jungles, inlands. I mean, all kinds of stuff, and then you hear. It was like a craze to where everybody started mixing jag, your coastal jag, which was morphed into everything.
The only morph.
Yeah. And then they just mixed it into everything. And now you've got people mixing, brettle jungle diamond jags and all this other kind of stuff. It's not even morphs anymore. I mean, it's a little bit of morph sprinkled in with hybrids, basically. But it's, it's what each to each their own. I don't knock none of it. Just.
It's kind of weird because, like, back in the day, green tree pythons, now there's a northern species and a southern species. So people never saw that as hybrids.
And Well, I guess you wouldn't call it a third. I was gonna say Aussies because they're their own.
You would think they would be, right? If the other ones are broken down like that, why wouldn't one on a totally different continent be a separate species?
I wish we could. I'm sure there's probably some floating around.
Someone smuggled something.
I don't have any.
But I mean, that's why the
we have rough scales. Come on, a couple years back.
There was only 12 years ago in Australia,
and now they're everywhere.
What are Aussies? Scales. I don't know what Aussies are. What do you mean?
It's a green tree python, but they're at the northern tip of Australia.
Okay. Do they look similar to all the other ones, or?
Oh yeah, they're
only produce yellow babies. There's no red.
There's no red in them.
They're actually called emerald tree boas. Or emerald tree pythons.
Emerald tree pythons.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Some of y'all might know that joke.
So what is the attraction to Aussie green trees if they all come out the same? What's the attraction?
Because we can't have them.
Because we can't have them, man.
You want what you can't have.
You can't have. That's all it is. But I mean, I love chondros, period. But blue line is what I want to work with most. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than that baby powder blue on that lime green. I mean, it's phenomenal.
That's why I love green trees. Gosh.
Can you make any sense to the genetics on that? Like, I've heard grandparents look at the grandparents, and I've heard, just look at the lineage.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can look at green trees the way you look at other snakes when it comes to the parents. I mean, some of the babies might get those traits, but within a clutch, there's so much individual coloration and stuff. You don't really know. Like, okay, on the wall here, you've got Sickness produced by Bill. Fucking crazy. And then the rest of them, I mean, they were all badass, but if you put him next to some of his siblings, you're like, there's no way they came from the same
clutch. Really? And who are the parents? Yeah. Who are the parents of the Sickness?
Is a Wamina female to his male Jaeger.
No, I asked that, and I have no idea what that means.
Jaeger is the name. He's a designer, and then it's a Wamina female.
Were they both? Can you describe what they look like?
I mean, it's harder to explain. I mean, if you guys know, check out Bill at Phoenix Reptiles, and you can see Sickness, you can see the parents, and shout out to Bill. That dude has helped me so much with chondros and where I'm at, and just asking questions. And Ian Bissell, that dude been freaking amazing.
Is crazy with S&J Reptiles.
S&J Reptiles,
crazy with the green
great
trees.
Dude. Hey, and y'all need to get with him. He's Southeast Carpet Fest in Florida, and I think it's looking. I believe he said February 10th.
February 10th.
Whoa,
hit up Ian.
You got
get
that
to Florida.
I heard that.
So I'm gonna try my damnedest to get
We're
out there.
We're gonna find a way to get there.
Yeah. And also, if you're in Florida, we said this last episode, but if you're in Florida, he's looking actually for volunteers to help him out down there, to set some shit up, bring some shit, and make sure people show up. Essentially, but yeah, I mean, that would be super fucking awesome.
Carpet Fest is a great time. We do it here, and of course Northeast started it. Now I think there's 5 of them.
Okay.
All over the United States. And I think one year when I've got the money, I want to hit each one. Just 1 year, hit all of them, all 5 of them.
Start a GoFundMe.
I
mean, carpet
behind, dude.
Right?
Do you think, a random question, what is, like, realistically, what is the most shows, like reptile shows, that a person can hit in a year and still handle their own things at home?
You mean like attending a show or
vending a show?
Everyone's personal balance, but
I don't know. You'd probably, I would talk to like Ryan Sullivan at Ivory Connection. He could tell you, because he's hitting all those. That's like the other day. Party foul with the beer over here.
Melissa's beer is spilling as we speak.
The floor's thirsty. Yeah. But I mean, he would know better, because he does the local shows and some of the out of town shows, and the big show, NARBC, stuff like that. And then has his own personal collection at the same time that he has to maintain.
Is it possible to hit like a year and still keep up with your own collection?
And I feel like this area, Texas, because all the Repticons are here and all those herp shows, I feel like this is a more dense area to have them. If you're in fucking maybe Maryland, you may be fucked. If you're in the Midwest, probably fucked. There may be like 3 shows you can go to. If you're here in Texas, dude, you can hit Alabama, Louisiana.
You can hit all those easily.
Texas,
East
Oklahoma.
Texas. Let's say East. If you're in El Paso, no,
You're in
it's
El
not
Paso,
happening.
then
It's
you
not
go to
happening. It's
New
not
Mexico
you just
show,
sell the
baby.
cartels. Yeah. But like, yeah, if you're East Texas, dude, all of them, even if you want to go all the way to Georgia, that's not even that much of a stretch. There's so many fucking shows around here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a ton of shows, man. I suggest people get out, go to all the shows. If you're looking for a specific animal,
Especially in the beginning.
shows,
like,
man.
You'll just learn shit.
That too, and just I just want people to stay away from, oh, I want this cool snake that I saw at Petco or PetSmart, and they buy this snake that's pretty shitty, not kept right, and they don't tell you how to take care of it properly, or if they do tell you how to take care of it, you see how well they take care of their animals. These are the same people giving you advice on how to care for it. Come on. Like,
yeah, and then like Thomas Jones, he said Central Florida has quite a bit, and like Florida,
doesn't Florida have everything?
It's the mecca for reptiles.
Florida
so
has everything.
yeah, they've got wild Burmese pythons.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
You don't even have to go to a show.
It does suck to have them as an invasive species. I get it, but how fucking awesome is that you can walk out in your back fucking yard and go catch a fucking Burmese python, Cuban night anoles, fucking everything. I mean, everything. Y'all have everything. Yeah, that's got to be a fun trip to go up in Florida. Tegus and shit. There's no telling what the fuck you're gonna
you
catch.
should definitely go to Southeast Carpet Fest.
Yeah, if you're in Florida, Thomas.
Cape Coral, but that's a little bit more south,
Coral.
I believe. Coral. I think that's how you say Cape Coral. Fuck.
Cape
Coral. Yeah,
Coral.
Corral's something you keep horses in.
Pretty sure it's Cape Coral.
It's actually like this saloon down in Florida. It's Cape Coral. Fucking what was that?
What do you think the most? I mean, I don't know if y'all would know this. Like in Florida, what's the biggest species of snake out there?
What do you mean biggest? Like,
or most popular, like most kept, or
oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably. I hate to fucking say it, but it's probably ball pythons. I mean, they're fucking everywhere.
Just because that's everywhere.
Yeah, and you got so many new people coming in, and people recommend ball pythons as the greatest starter snake when it's fucking not. But you know, that's a whole nother conversation.
I thought Florida would be, I don't know, separate from the rest of the U.S. because they have so much. You know, they have such a variety.
Market, but it's still the same shit, different place.
Everyone's saying corn snake. Now he's seen curly tails. What's a curly tail?
I think it's a lizard. Right?
I wasn't sure if he was talking about like monkey tail skinks, or I'm not sure exactly.
No, I think a curly tail, isn't it like it's almost like an anole? I think,
or that may be like one of those terms that people use for different. Like you may call a water moccasin like a fucking jitterbug or some bullshit.
Jitterbug. What the fuck?
Down here we call that damn thing a jitterbug.
Oh, okay. Lily Pad lives in Florida too. Lily Pad, you should follow S&J Reptiles and go see Southeast Carpet. No. Yes.
What?
Southeast Carpet. I keep forgetting the name. Southeast Carpet Fest coming next year.
Yeah, check with S&J Reptiles. You know, and Ian can fill everybody in. And all it is, it's a of people that love snakes. You know, you don't even have to like snakes. It's called Carpet Fest. It's not about carpets. And that's one thing that I've seen a lot of people thinking, I don't own carpets, you know, so I don't want to go. Man, fuck that. It's not about, that's just the name because that's how it all started. It's just a passion for snakes, period. I mean, you can keep earth snakes or garter snakes, and you can keep no snakes. You can not even like snakes and just want to learn and see how interesting it is, because the people that keep snakes, the spectrum is crazy. Like you've got crazy hillbillies, you got doctors, you got random teachers. I mean, it's all over the place of who keeps what. And shit's fun. I mean,
and I think there's a need for it because at reptile shows, as great as there are, there's only so much talking you can do. Like, there's a million people.
Almost like an anole.
What are you doing? Are you looking up curly tails?
The curly
looked
tails.
up the curly
cool
tails.
as fuck. Yeah.
At reptile shows, as great as there are, and as I'm always going to support them and promote them, you can only talk so much. Like, we were at the Repticon in Grapevine recently, and we were trying to film, and we could barely film because there was just so many people. Like, and so there's only so much you can do. But at things like Carpet Fest, that's where you can actually like sit down, talk snakes, like ask real questions.
When else can you have a beer with the biggest breeders in the world?
And that is one. It is one
world.
great thing because you're so personal. Because at a show, they're trying to make sales, and so you can't just shoot the shit with somebody when you got people lined up trying to buy a snake. It doesn't work like that. So at the shows, it's just a bunch of people hanging out. You get personal time with some of the best known people in the industry that breed shit you may have never even thought of owning.
Like the sickness.
I was listening to NPR, and it's like at one point they had an episode where they were talking about white lips, and I'm just like,
I want one. I want one.
See what
I
I'm
want
saying?
one.
And
I want a white lip so bad.
There's something I've seen a lot of, but I was never interested in owning one until I listened to this episode and you hear somebody else's passion for them. And then it's just like they describe them, and then you see pictures of them as they're uploading them in the chat. You're like, damn, that snake is badass. And it's like, fuck, now I want a white lip. And it's like,
and then they're like, they spit up hairballs every once in a while. Then I'm like, fuck that, get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm like, I don't care anything. I want one. I want one.
Apparently they can spit up hairballs, which from what I would think is maybe they just eat lizards in the wild straight up. Maybe they don't eat many mammals.
They get too big to eat just.
You could think they'd have to subside on something, but I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
I
don't know too much about them. They're badass though, but
you see how many are reptile shows, and you see how many are of age to breed and stuff like that. Almost zero, and you see them at every reptile show because they're really popular imports. So it's like I wonder what the disconnect is there. Either no one's happy.
I think what I've seen is a lot of people. They're not that easy to breed. They're pretty easy. I don't want to say easy. You can breed them.
They're not,
but they're not. Yeah, they're not Bolins, but they're relatively hard to breed. And a lot of people that are going to breed them and take the time to do it, you know what I'm saying? They're going to have like a small, I guess, following of people that are into that, because some people want the cool snake, and then some people go after stuff to breed. It's kind of like chondros. A lot of people are like, "Oh, they're so hard to keep," and blah. I'm over here like, "No, the fuck, they're not."
As long as you go hard.
I hear that all the time, how hard they are, and I see these posts, and these guys come in here and about how often they spray, and I'm just like, I hardly spray mine. Like I hardly miss my green trees, But I might spray them once, maybe twice if they're in shed. I generally just tip the water bowl over and clean the water bowl and put in fresh water. And that's it. And I see people like, I need to spray this thing like 2-3 times a day. And I'm like, you're going to fucking drown it. It's not, a water moccasin. It's not a fucking sea snake. Like, quit fucking giving it all this water. But I don't know.
People tend to overcomplicate things.
I think they do. And I just, like I said, I keep them in a little box and I never have any issues. I run ambient on my babies. And they're sitting at 81, 82. Everybody's eating fine. Everybody's shitting. I've had no prolapses, and I'm getting full sheds. So, what works for me?
All you can do is say that works for me and move on. And be like, well, that's just the proof is that they're still healthy and getting along fine. But Thomas said 25 years ago, I knew a couple guys with jungle carpets, which is crazy. 25 years ago,
I didn't think they were around.
The first jungle carpets. If you're in Florida, that may be possible because someone put them in their underwear like
Tom Crutchfield.
I'm not going there. I don't know that dude, but yeah.
But it's like, I feel like me personally, I judge the smuggling and everything, but we wouldn't have what we had. But
they were doing it for the zoos.
We wouldn't have what we had if it weren't for these people who did this crazy shit. Like
they were fucking savages.
I think what I feel like now is, there may be stuff we want and we can't have. And I know some people might have some stuff and they're not going to talk about it or whatever, but she's right. Like we would not be where we are. People would not have the rough scales. People would not have a lot of shit if people weren't, smuggling things out of there. Now there's other ways to get stuff. They might trade stuff to other countries and then from there it comes here.
But dude, they all had zoo paperwork when they were smuggling though. Like the zoos hired Hank Molt and Tom Crutchfield to get them these animals. The zoos were the ones who were getting around that.
How did they
I have the book that explains it all. Like you need to read it because it's like the zoos were a lot sketchier than you think they are now. There was no AZA, none of that shit. Everyone was trying to breed everything first. So it was like, we got this pair of even bearded dragons. I think Tom Crutchfield always said, like, smuggled were rare. They were rare in the U.S., but not rare in the wild. So, like, I didn't affect the wild.
Wait, he smuggled bearded dragons? That seems so common. That's so common.
Right, it does now because Tom
hopefully not in his underwear.
They don't eat worms, do they?
But you know, that's crazy. I think as bearded dragons, they're everywhere. I didn't know someone ever smuggled
everywhere
them.
because of him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he smuggled them in.
Where did they come from?
Australia. So
yeah, they're an Australian species.
You would never know now.
I'm not into lizards, man.
You never know.
I don't know too much about them,
either.
so.
But you never know they're an Australian species because they're everywhere, like rampant.
I know.
Wow.
I mean, it's just a perfect lizard to have in captivity, just like he brought over the iguanas. I mean, that's not a perfect lizard to have in captivity, but it was sold as that. But, you know, I mean, who's to say that it's wrong to bring over a bearded dragon that has no effect on the wild? There's plenty of them out there. He just brought over a couple and turned out to be one of the best pet lizards you could have in the hobby. So it's kind of a give and take. I mean, there's some bad with the good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying bringing Fiji iguanas and weird shit, like rare shit, but
what's that? What's the tuatara? Is that how you say
tuatara?
that?
Yeah.
Tuatara.
I said that's when I had. Wait, how do you pronounce it?
D. albers, which is a white lips python.
Wait.
It was
5 foot, and it was too much of a snake for me. Before that, I had a bull snake, and he's getting back into snakes again. Wait, what? I'm confused. A white lip. I mean,
D. albers is a different name for a white lip.
Oh, just something else to call. Is that someone's last name who found?
Someone who probably named it,
so.
Who described it.
Okay. Lilypad said, I had a bearded dragon and went to an actual reptile store. Even they didn't tell me the correct care for it. Is that hard? I feel like they're so common. How is it hard to tell the care for it?
Because a lot of these places are about money. I mean, you go to any Petco, any PetSmart, and you'll see so many complaints about, you know, their fish might look nice, their little mammals and birds might look nice, but you go to that reptile department, and almost every store, generally, it's going to look like shit. And you got 6 snakes in there. You got ball pythons that are housed together, and you know, let's just throw them all together.
They just got to be alive long enough to sell. That's it.
And the problem is, you see some of these people come in. It's like, I felt so bad. I wanted to rescue this poor snake. Fuck that snake.
Bitch.
Let the fucker die. I'm sorry. I know people. I know, you know, I might get some shit for that, but let them fucking die. Because if you save this snake and you bought this snake, now you just gave them money to go get another one to take its place. To be miserable shit, probably die. Let the fucking thing die.
But the same thing, Evan, if it dies, they're going to do the same thing. Whether you buy it or it dies, they're going to do the same thing.
But if you're buying stuff and you're not selling it, it's not going to sell. Who's going to keep bringing in stuff that they're not selling? Okay, so, I mean, if you go to a store, I've been to DFW Reptarium. That's a good store. They take care of their stuff. There's some nice animals there.
We agree.
You know, but at the end of the day, it's still a pet store. You know, if I want any animal, I'm not fixing to go to a pet store and buy it because you're paying pet store prices. When I go to the show and buy what I need
from
from, you know, the same people that they're getting their animals from, I'm just cutting it out the middle, man.
Yeah.
You know.
And care difficult? Like a beard? I don't know anything about
honestly, more difficult than a snake. I mean, you got to have lighting and all this shit. Once you get to lighting, I'm like, I'm out.
I've heard.
So that's why it's hard for pet stores to tell the care because it's difficult.
It's just people don't take the time to research. It's you know, right along those same lines as, you know, green tree boa and stuff like that.
Green tree boa.
And then when you ask them and you know their response is, what's the same thing? No, it's not the same thing. If you're going to come on here and try to be knowledgeable and have people tune it into the shit you're going to say, at least know the basic name of something and realize, you know, the basic name, not the scientific name, the basic fucking name. You know,
should we give backstory on this?
No,
I don't know.
I don't want to give.
I'm going to give short backstory. I'm not going to out anyone. I'm not going to out someone. I'm going to give someone on Instagram posted a picture of an emerald tree boa, and I commented on his account.
All right, don't give the whole thing.
Okay, well, whatever. We went ahead and corrected the person that there's a difference between a green tree python and an emerald tree boa, and they didn't agree. that's into that. But Thomas said, I'm really lucky that the ones next to my house are pretty good, Petco, PetSmart. But he understands they're not all. I've never heard a positive Petco story, so that's good. Like,
I have heard positive, but again, I think there's breeders out there that deserve your money.
Yeah.
And their customer service is next to none. You go buy an animal. Let's say you go buy a ball python, you know, for $80 for a normal ball python from Petco, when you could have got it for probably $5, damn near free from some breeder who, you know, for just a normal ball. Even though you bought a normal, you can call him up probably 2-3 months, depending on who you're dealing with, and they will help you. They will tell you, you know, what to do if it's not eating, if it's not, you know, whatever. A lot of these guys reach out and help you. Call Petco. Call Petco 3 months from now and say, hey, I bought this snake from you. What do I do with it? They're going to be like, take it to the vet. I don't know. You know, hey, come on down and buy another one. You know, $80 a pop for a $5 snake. So, I don't know. Fuck pet stores.
It's interesting. Lily Pad said, like, just give me a care sheet. So does pet stores not even give you a care sheet? They just let
occasionally, but
they let people
but
go
how much of that info is legit? When you can get on a Facebook group, you get on Instagram and talk to people that are producing things and have produced them for years and ask questions. That's what I'm asking. Fuck a care sheet. At
least they should give something. They didn't give her anything.
Who made the fucking care sheet? You know,
True.
You don't know who made that shit. Could have been fucking Brian Barczyk. So
but that's funny because we bought an annul from Petco the other day, and I feel like they gave you like 15 different pamphlets on a fucking annul. I thought
we were trying to fucking.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Family member and shit.
We were just getting an annul to, you know, to kill and feed to
she
another
was like,
animal.
look at how cute it is. I was like, don't pull out my heartstrings. I'm about to feed this to my corn snake. You know? Get out of here with this.
But Lily Pad says she doesn't have that bearded dragon anymore. Someone asked, how many families of snakes are there? I don't know what that is.
Shit,
like millions.
4,000 species, probably. Like,
and you start breaking it down into subspecies and stuff like that.
Okay, wait, what is it? Kingdom. What? I'm trying to remember science. Kingdom, phylum.
No, I'm gonna sound really stupid.
I don't even fucking know. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I don't know. I know. Oh, that's a green tree.
There's that thing we learned in school, like my something milk. Yeah, no.
They taught y'all that shit.
They something about like chocolate milk.
She went to school in Louisiana. They taught her the alphabet, and then they gave up.
No, it was kingdom, phylum, family, class. Let me not try.
I mean, no, you
family, genus, species.
Okay, kingdom, phylum,
I can give you the last three just because that's what matters.
They're both smarter than me.
Oh my God, Thomas said he's in 10 Facebook groups for reptiles.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where you get the knowledge.
And 10, I mean, to be honest, you think 10 is a lot. That's really nice. Okay. I see people where there's like 50, 60 groups, and there's so many groups, and there's a lot of dumb groups out there with a lot of newbies that run shit, and you're going to get a lot of bad information. You gotta know when you're getting fed bullshit information. If 10 people are telling you don't do this, and this one person is like, no, do it because it worked for me, I probably wouldn't do it, because 10 people telling you no, don't do that probably means there's something wrong with doing that. You know, and
I'm just all about getting an animal from someone who's very experienced and you trust, and then asking them questions directly. Like, if you don't have to ask a Facebook group, even like that's, but for a situation that arises, like, oh, I had a prolapse and I'm wondering if it's a green tree group, for some reason, green tree people seem to be so fucking educated that I'm like, let me put this out to the group, like experienced breeders, tell me what's going on, and they'll tell you what's up. But it's like, out the people who are bullshit. You need to be like, because you've been around long enough to know who's who, and like, you know, Buddy Buscemi, you're gonna do whatever he says, but fucking Joe Blow, who has a chondro with stuck shed as his profile picture, fuck that motherfucker.
An emerald tree python?
Yeah.
Someone asked, do all snakes work in tubs?
Do they what?
Do all snakes do they work in tubs? Can you put any snake in a tub?
No. Well, maybe.
But all your snakes are in tubs. What are you talking about?
Because I own certain snakes that work for me.
Okay, so all snakes don't work in tubs? I'm not going to
put a tentacle snake in the fucking tub.
I don't know.
There's always exceptions to everything.
No.
So not all of them?
I think certain snakes, I'm big on bio setups and things like that, I think are badass. You know, I'm building Dart frog vivariums now, and I love the way it looks.
It looks good.
The jungle set, and I know some snakes don't do good in that kind of, you got to worry about bacteria and RIs and temperature, humidity, all this shit.
Shitting 5 times a week.
Yeah, and it's hard to clean up certain snakes. In a box, it's more contained. When you have species like crebos, indigos, things that are just paint the walls with shit, you don't want to put them in a living vivarium to where you're constantly having to clean it. Because that's a whole nother, you're in there moving shit around and
all the time.
Yeah. But some snakes, I think, in boxes, some don't. Some need caging, some I don't. To each their own, really. If your snake is shitting fine, eating fine, shedding fine, and lives its life happy, whether it's in a shoebox or it's in a fucking elaborate setup, whatever makes
as long as it's
happy.
Working.
Yeah.
But is there some snakes that don't do well in vivariums and things like that?
Well, like something like a corn snake moves around so much that it's just gonna rip all those plants up.
Okay, so it's not worth it.
I know BHB catches a lot of fucking flack for their retics being in the cages. Now, some of the stuff he has them in, I do feel like they're a little small. I don't like the guy. I think he's an asshole. I think he's a fucking douchebag to the community.
How do you really feel?
But I'm just saying. But some of the stuff he does is just, it deserves the criticism, and then sometimes I think it doesn't. But I feel personally like keeping a retic in a drawer setup is wrong. I think they need a little bit more space than
like a vivarium.
I agree.
Not even just a cage. Like you see a lot of these cages. Like JPM makes these 6-foot cages. Boa Master makes these cages. I mean, all these different companies make these big 6-foot cages, and it's enough room for them to curl up, move around. Granted, they do kind of curl up and stay in one fucking spot, but some of them, it's like they have no room. Like it's just like it's like a sock in a drawer. You got your sock drawer and it's just full of socks, and you pull it open and they're just right there. And that's what I feel like. Like you pull this drawer open and your snake is just right there with nowhere to go, and it's just like. I don't know, man. Some of these snakes are just so fucking beautiful. I think they need to be out and be seen and not just shut away in a drawer somewhere. But
it's the argument of like thriving or surviving. You can make a snake survive in almost anything as long as temperature and you're giving it water and feeding it. But the fact is that is a retic meant to be in a little fucking tub? It's a savanna monitor. He had a savanna monitor in a tub. Which is like anyone who keeps monitors knows that you're going to have that with like lots of dirt to dig in, bioactive setup, very high temperature, good. He probably just had heat tape on the fucking bottom. But I mean, this isn't a dig on him because I don't think he has it anymore. But there's a much different setup required for a savanna monitor. That's a fucking creature of this is a whole different creature, man, than having a snake, a corn snake.
I mean, it's not just him. I just use him because his exposure to people in the community is out there. Yeah. And you get a lot of these noob guys that come in here, and to them, they look at Brian Barczyk the way we grew up looking at Steve Irwin. And the two couldn't be further apart. And, I don't want to just be down on the dude, but the dude deserves what he gets. And when you're doing dumb shit, the community's going to pretty much call you on it.
But do you also agree, the bigger you get, the more shit you're going to get?
Yeah.
I agree with that because the bigger you are, which means you're producing more animals. So you've got more shit. And you can't always.
More stuff to go
snakes
wrong.
get fucking mites. It happens. But you got to not be producing shit and sending it out the door knowing it's got fucking mites. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just going to I don't know. It's going to come back on you, and then you
can't fault someone for getting mites, but you can fault them for selling things with mites.
Absolutely.
Selling mites. I mean,
okay. Someone said, "Have you ever been bit by a venomous snake?"
Have I? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Well,
are you expecting it to happen, Evan?
I've dealt with venomous, and I'm not keeper, but I have had. A lot of the Texas stuff, your copperheads and rattlesnakes and cottonmouths.
Fucking love copperheads.
But it's to be expected. If you own a dog, at some point you get bit. If you own pythons, sometimes you get bit. If I own chondros, at some point I'm going to get tagged. If I'm going to keep hots, at some point I'm going to get hit. And you can do everything right in the world, and one day it's just not your fucking day, and you're hit.
Especially when you get into those big collections.
Is there a difference between a a bite from a venomous snake and a venomous lizard? Because I know we were at.
Yeah, because I.
Okay, wait. We were at.
He turned up on that. Yeah.
Okay, we were at Ivory Connection's house, and he had the beetle lizard. Is that what it's called?
Mexican
beaded lizard. And I learned that was venomous. So I was wondering, like, what's the difference between a venomous bite from a lizard and a snake?
Bro, I was holding that thing and it started turning around, and I was like, "Oh no, man!" I don't know what to do. I keep snakes. We throw it down and like put it back in its enclosure. There's a lizard.
Can you throw down a lizard?
Am I about to die?
I mean, I don't know as far as the bite, what the difference would be, how it would affect you. I have no idea. But I expect at some point anything can bite you. And I think if you keep anything, you should expect to be bit.
I agree. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to being bit by non-venomous shit, personally, I hate getting bit. I don't like it. And I treat all my snakes like they're venomous. And I feel like I avoid getting bit at all costs. And if you treat your chondros, your king snake, things that won't hurt you like they're venomous, if you do get venomous, I think you're a little bit more mindset. Yeah, and it's like, I had gaboons, and I see a lot of people. There was a post somebody did, and it was coming out. No, I don't think they're docile. I think that's what you get lulled into thinking. Right, they're gonna fuck your world up.
All it takes is one time. You can have the nicest snake, the wrong thing at the wrong time,
and you get careless.
You're not going to take that chance.
I think you get too comfortable and you get careless with things like, because I've seen them referred to as the ball pythons of the venomous world. And when you say that kind of shit, you get a lot of new people that are like, "Oh, ball pythons are pretty fucking easy." Well, I bet gaboons are pretty fucking easy if they're calling them ball pythons. People are fucking stupid, and that's how they fucking think, and it's scary. And so they'll go out there and get this fucking gaboon or any other venomous, and then you got some dumb fuck that's out here selling them the shit, and these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're up here watching other people on Facebook, and there was a situation here recently about a dumbass here in Texas. The dude wants to fucking buy all these fucking venomous snakes and then get fucking tagged after everybody for months told him, "Don't fucking do this. You don't know what you're doing."
On YouTube,
and then he got fucking tagged. And it's just like, dude. And then he's like, "Oh, I learned my lesson." Bullshit. I call bullshit. I say 2 months he's going to have more snakes. But that's none of my fucking business.
He did learn his lesson. Like, he knew going into it what was going to happen.
I think people, especially new people that are just so cool with Sidewinder. Yeah, Sidewinder. I think so many people are just so intent on having a cool ass gaboon that they don't really think things through. Like, if that snake hits you, they're badass. But then you want to handle them. You want to do dumb shit like get them out. And for what? Get them out. I would get mine out with a hook, with 2 hooks, set them down on the table, and from about 15 feet away with a good camera, take pictures. If you look on my Instagram at Carpet Cartel, if you look on Instagram or Carpet Cartel on Facebook, you'll see pictures of my gabbies that I had. All those pictures, I'm standing about 15 feet back, and they don't even move like that. But I'm not taking that chance.
But fast as strike.
Yeah, and I'm not taking that chance because I have a family, and if that shit bites me, that's not a rattlesnake. That's not a copperhead. I'm in serious trouble. That dude got so fucking lucky with all the shit he was taking for granted and playing with that it was the rattlesnake of all things. Not that fucking not that fucking forest cobra. It was the Sidewinder rattlesnake that got it.
If you're stupid enough to tail like a 6-inch fucking Sidewinder, just fucking.
No, it was all wrapped around his hand and coming around and shit. He actually got bit putting it back in the cage. Yeah, but fucking retard. I'm not. Y'all. Most people know who it is. If you don't.
We're not trying to call people out.
I'm not. Personally, I feel like a lot of his dumb shit was for attention. So I'm not gonna say the man's name.
Of course it is. Why else would you do it?
And he's like posting pictures and all happy that he got. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's happy he got bit, but you talk all that shit, and when that fucking doctor's bill comes in, and you see all these vials of anti-venom that you had to get that you probably took away from somebody who's really gonna need it because you want to toy around with a dumbass snake and get bit, you're fucking fucking retard.
Lily Pam was talking about the like religious
hey, them fucking idiots too, man. I wish Joel Osteen would do that and get fucking tagged. You fucking moron.
Oh my God.
Dude, That's another, and you see those kind of people. I watch National
It's
Geographic.
like
and some of that
snakes
stuff.
must be so nice that they haven't killed them yet.
I don't even understand it.
Fuck,
And then there's, I've heard people say, well, they cool them and keep them in the refrigerator so they can handle them.
Well, they just don't
and stuff like that.
these
They keep them in the refrigerator?
Well, that's what I heard. I don't know.
No,
What?
I think they just kind of keep them room temperature, just like whatever.
Still ballsy as fuck.
Either way, they're like.
But
I saw that show on whatever it was on, but the guy was like, "Well, this Aatrox hasn't, eaten for me yet, and all this other stuff." And then like they had a big funeral for it because it died. But it's like, yeah, because you weren't keeping it well. You were keeping it in a wooden box. Like, I don't know.
those guys are, God's on my side. The snake won't bite me. So what does that mean when the snake bites your stupid ass? You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude.
See God, bitch.
Actual Gaming said, would you rather own a red-tailed boa or a super dwarf retail? What is the BCC? I don't know what all that means.
Boa constrictor.
There you go.
Wait.
Boa constrictor and predator is
what's
so BCC is going to be the pure boa constrictor, and then BCI is going to be a lot of your Colombians and shit like that. So BCCs are seen as they're usually bigger, they're usually more desirable, and it's just BCI is going to be the one that you find in your pet store.
Personally, she's not a super dwarf, but I have a golden child, and she's 50% cellular or sea layer, however you say that. So she's got dwarf blood in her, but I always there's a lot of people. And there seems to be this divide. There are people that like boas and pythons, but you're generally a boa lover or a python lover. And I fall in that category. I love pythons. I'm not a boa person. There's very few boas I would ever own. Green tree boas I would keep. Emerald tree boas I would keep.
We do not acknowledge that green tree boas are a real thing. This is a joke. Let me say, this is a joke. Sorry, this is a joke. This is a complete joke. We acknowledge that green tree boas are not a real thing. Sorry,
no, they're green and they're in the trees and they're both. But I think Brazilian rainbows are badass, and green anacondas. I think those three are the only thing I would ever try to mess with. Maybe a rosy boa. I think they're kind of cool.
I do like rosy boas. Rosy boas. That's a new one. Are like the colubrid of the boa world, and then the emeralds are like the green tree pythons. Initiation into boas.
I don't know what a rosy boa is. Explain a little bit.
They're California based, and it's just it's like a desert boa.
Think of a Kenyan sand boa, pretty similar.
Okay.
Just terrestrial instead of always burying itself. Kenyan sand boas are kind of badass. That's some cool shit. I've had those, and when they hide and then they jump out of the substrate and grab a mouse, dude. That fucking movie Tremors. Some of y'all grew up watching Tremors, Kevin Bacon and shit. That fucking movie is awesome. And having this little snake that just jumps up out the dirt and grabs his fucking mouse. That shit is badass. And I couldn't help it. I always live fed my Kenyans because it's so cool to watch the little mouse walk around and not a care in the world. And out of fucking nowhere, wham! This motherfucking sand boa just jumps out the dirt and grabs his ass. That shit is fucking awesome. And my wife was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "Did you see that shit?" And it's so fucking fast. Like, sand boas are okay. Yeah, I do like sand boas. They're pretty badass, but. Most boas, like your boa constrictors and your red tails and all that kind of shit, I'm not.
What about you, Bam?
What? Super dwarf?
So either a red tail boa or a pure super dwarf retic.
I would love both of those, but I mean, I don't know how dwarf works in retics. There's so many people like this is 50%, this is 75%. I don't fucking know. It's just I wouldn't fuck with it just because I don't know shit.
Well, I've heard, Ryan from Ivory Connection works with boas, and he works with retics, and he's told me, so many of that dwarf stuff out there, those dwarfs still get pretty big. Yeah. There's a lot of it's 100% super dwarf, and the snake is still 12 fucking feet long.
That doesn't sound like a dwarf.
And like 60 pounds, like still eating rabbits. And I think in people's heads, they're thinking dwarf. They're thinking it's an adult at 6 feet. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that's as big as it's gonna get. Because when I first heard dwarf retics or dwarf Burmese, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a short, small version of the big shit. And it's not exactly what it is. It's just a little bit smaller than the mainlands. It's like chondros. Your Biocs get fucking big. Like I've seen some big ass Beox because they're just big, but then some of your other shit they don't get as big. They're your chondros are like 3-4 feet, and then you got this 6.5 foot monster. Granted most of them don't get that big, but certain ones seem to get bigger than others.
I mean, you have all those island boas who they eat like for like 1 month out of the year when birds are migrating, and then they don't eat again, so they're small as fuck. But it's like those are kind of dwarf boas, but that's kind of the same thing that goes into the retics, some of the island localities that they say are dwarf. But they've been bred into each other, and I feel like, and also I heard that, like at Ryan's, I heard that the dwarfs are usually more aggressive. Like those subspecies are usually more aggressive and assholes in comparison to the baby.
That I don't know, because mine, she's like I said, she's 50% dwarf blooded. She's a sweetheart, except for when food is involved. Dude, she's a fucking asshole when it's time to eat. It's just she loves her fucking food, and if I don't give her something big enough to calm her fucking tits, then she's like all over the fucking place. She's just, as soon as you touch the cage or walk past her, she's up. I mean, she's trying to eat shit, and if I open it, she's coming out at me. But it's like I was giving her small rats, and she's like, fuck you. Like, seriously, give me something. So I gave her a fucking jumbo, and it was a big meal for her. It took her about an hour to eat it. That bitch has been in the corner chilling. She's doing her thing.
That's the thing about retics. You see them in the wild, they'll have these giant meals in your retic, and like to think that ate a jumbo rat, I'm like, holy fuck. But then again, it's like that's what they do in the wild.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not, let people know, it's not pencil thin or anything like that. I mean, she's probably, I'd say $50. She's bigger than that.
Big in my olive, dude, and that's been here for like 2 years, maybe.
She's actually she's about as round as your jungles, but she's nowhere. She's a thinner build.
Yeah,
but
but they take down big fucking prey, and then there's some of these species who hang out in caves and just take down shit ton of bats constantly.
Bats and mammals that creep in there at night, all kinds of shit.
So you can imagine how big their fucking food response is. Like anything that goes past their head, they're gonna try to snap.
And like I said, we came back from San Antonio. Was it San Antonio? We came back from somewhere. I was with Ryan, and I opened the bin, and I'm so used to her being so cool when I open her bin that, oh fuck yeah, Dr. Pepper.
Hopped up on Dr. Pepper.
When I opened her bin, I just, we're talking, I just pulled it out. And as soon as I pulled it out, she literally came over the top, and she just barely hit my finger, and I got out of there in time. And she grabbed it, the top of the bin, wrapped it up. And I'm like, damn, that feed response is crazy. Yeah. And it's when she's fed, she's fine. But when she's fucking hungry, you better watch your ass. And retics are, I think they're a lot more mellow now because everybody's bred them. You don't have those F1 generations as much, or those wild cots that are just crazy assholes. Because for a long time, people didn't want to fuck with retics because they're fucking nuts. And, they're just like this big ass snake, and it's mean too. Like, no. And now they're just so chill and relaxed.
But they're still big.
And don't get me wrong, it's so fucked up because I don't even like retics, but I have a retic. And everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, I thought you didn't like them. I don't. I just like golden childs, and I have one. And shout out to Ryan Sullivan at Ivory Connection. I appreciate this girl, and she's badass. And he just hatched out some badass shit. And I think there's a male in there with my name on it.
Did he come out of the egg?
No, he's not. As far as I know, he's not out of the egg yet. But
Evan, someone said they remind you of Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. Fuck the police. No, I'm just kidding. No, but really, fuck the police.
But Lilypad said, do snakes actually see in ultraviolet light like they show in documentaries?
I don't think anyone knows.
No, I'm like, I don't know. Hey, snake, do you see an ultraviolet light like in documentaries? He didn't answer.
I think it's they definitely sense heat. I don't know. Who the fuck knows, man? I think people try to put labels on shit before. Scientists don't actually know. They try to figure it out.
I don't know, man. It's you see all these neat things where this is how the snake sees, and it's like it looks like you're watching the movie Predator and shit. I don't know how they know all that, but it's pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, we used to be told, we were always told, so snakes aren't smart and they have bad eyesight. I think both of those are bullshit. I think most snakes can see just fucking fine. And then if you're dealing with shit like retics and king cobras, I think are some of the smartest fucking snakes there are, and they're eyesight oriented. I mean, they watch everything you do, and then they're smart. They're figuring shit out. And there's nothing scarier than a huge venomous snake or a huge non-venomous snake that is figuring out what the fuck you're doing. And that's some scary shit when you really stop and think about it, because, you know, I'm not saying he's out to get you or anything, but he's watching and learning your behavior. Yeah. Just like we watch and learn them, they watch and learn us.
I'm looking at this olive python right here. This motherfucker, like, he will look you right in the eye and be like, you got food or nah, or what are we doing? Like, so many snakes are way smarter than what we give them credit for. And then there's a bunch of stupid fucking snakes. But, like chondros.
Oh, fuck you. Chondros aren't stupid.
They are just not interactive at all.
I think
but I don't know how y'all judge smart and stupid. Like,
but like olive, they'll follow you around. Like some of the carpets will follow you around.
Is that a sign of smart? Is following around smart?
I think it's just certain things. I remember watching this. I don't remember if it was a documentary or what, on this guy with king cobras, and they had this king cobra in this man-made pit they built, and it was like blue sheets, and these sheets are like 6 feet tall, and the guy is walking around on the outside, and the cobra is on the inside, and it's following him around. You know, it's sitting still, but it's eyesight, like it's following him, and he can't even see the guy. And I don't know if it could see the heat through the thing, if it's just going by vibration, but you could tell that it got kind of relaxed, like, okay, it's not a threat. Then when you see him, I mean, there's just different things they were doing. Like they know, how am I trying to say this? It's not that they know a threat. Well, I guess they would know a threat, but everything's going to be a threat if it's bigger than you. But they're just, I don't know how to explain how they're smart.
You can definitely train to a certain degree of, you know, when something wants to eat, what's going on. Like they know your behavior and you know their behavior. So if they're going to get fed, this is what happens when I get fed. You know, this human feeds me, all that other shit. They pop right out when they're about to get fed. I've heard scrubs are like that. I've never had them. I wish I had, but I heard that they're like that. But then again, they're like, I'll bite your fucking face.
Yeah, I've heard scrubs are just fucking
evil.
Vicious.
I want them so bad.
But then I see people like, they're not that bad, and they're posting theirs up, and there's not, you know, but they're just one of those kind of snakes that you don't, you know, if you don't take the time to work with, they're going to be fucking Satan in a box.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know.
Someone asked, what's y'all's opinion on Burmese pythons in Florida?
They're not supposed to be
I think
there.
they're not supposed to be there, but they're fucking there.
But
and I don't give a shit.
Like, you know, they're hiring people in Florida to go out and kill them.
You know what?
Snake's nature is to not be seen ever. Like, there's no way you're going to
look, every year, it's like, there's this many, and we go out there and have all these hunts, and they're still not getting them all. They're fucking in Florida. They're going to stay in Florida. There's not shit you can do. You know, I feel like if you're going to bitch and cry because this fucking python ate your fucking cat, keep your fucking cat in the house. You know, oh, it ate my little puppy. Well, then you should have had your dog outside because now they live there. And if it wasn't Burmese pythons trying to eat your shit, it's fucking alligators or bobcats or bears or all the other shit that they have out there that eats these things. But all of a sudden, it's just Burmese pythons that are eating everything. And I'm like, they're competing with like 1 million fucking gators.
And there's so many species down there that are invasive. It's retarded.
Yeah,
they're just trying to use
it's not just
I'm not saying that they're not a problem, but you know, and I really want to know really what the problem is. Where are the real numbers on what they've done? Animal community, like what have they done to the mammals and stuff? Where are these real numbers? Not this bullshit.
Well, there was that study where they pretty much released rabbits into exactly where Burmese pythons were.
And they ate them all?
They're like, all the rabbits were eaten by Burmese pythons.
Well, no shit.
Well,
that's shocking.
Yeah. So they were like, these Burmese are really taking down the rabbit population. But I mean, are you going to go? It's just like if I said kill all the invasive ants in Texas or whatever. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Just like the snakes.
So you're saying it's not possible to
I think the biggest...
They've just gotten too much. They've gotten too much. There's too many Burmese.
The only way to do it is if it got
too
cold for too long.
I think that, and that's happened. There's been freezes out there, and they still thrive. They figure it out. They adapt. You know, they've been out there long enough now. That hurricane happened, and when was that? Like 2000.
Hurricane Andrew, 96.
Yeah, they've been out there for 20-something years. Like, it is what it is. They're there. They're not going to go nowhere. You can't hunt them out. It's not going to happen. And I think the bigger issue is fucking cats.
What?
I'm serious.
No,
fucking
cats, number one.
Cats kill more fucking of your native birds, lizards, and snakes than any of this shit.
Really?
And cats are a problem. And people are like,
cats.
let's treat them like they're not a problem because they're furry and they're cute. And keep your fucking cat inside. If it gets killed outside, it's fucking fine. I fucking hate cats.
These creatures, you see them in your fucking house and they're stalking shit all the time.
Oh, they're killers.
Fucking savage.
And then they don't even eat it. They just kill it and bring it to you. They play with it. You know,
Evan, our followers like you.
I appreciate it.
Our followers like that you have no filter.
Oh, zero. Fucking zero. My mom is always like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you just never, you don't think before you speak and then think about it later. I'm like, yeah. Like, if you don't like me, blow me. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Hey, I told you this show wasn't going to be for kids. You know, I keep it 100. I try to. And, you know, if you like me, I love you. And respect me, I respect you. But if you treat people like shit, I'm gonna treat you like shit. I'm gonna fuck you. And
but these cats, if they scratch anything, they get infected.
But but they can't go out killing cats. You know, America would.
Hold on. What's the difference? What's the difference in a cat?
America would be so mad because they're cute and cuddly. Because they're cute and cuddly. Exactly. America would be so mad. You cannot go out and kill cats. You can't. You can't hire people to kill cats.
America, if your fucking cat gets in my backyard because you let that motherfucker out, and I catch that bitch in my backyard tearing up my trash, shitting in my plants, I promise you right now, I've got a high-powered pellet gun and a can of fucking tuna with his fucking name on it. If you got a problem with that,
dude,
leave a comment. And then I'm gonna look at your comment and still tell you fuck you. Fucking cat.
Dude, I can't wait. There's like
but it's never gonna happen in America.
What'd you say, eat a cat?
She said in my country we eat cat. Oh,
I
she said
she's
JK.
From like the
JK.
Philippines.
I eat cat too, but
ew, gross.
Hey, gross.
But
that's true.
It's never gonna work. It's never gonna work in America. In America, no one is gonna get past the cute
right. But you should
cuddly.
keep your animals inside at all times, especially if
I
it's
agree.
a fucking killing machine.
So if you're gonna kill them though, why do you need to advertise it?
I agree.
I mean, I'm talking that shit, but I'm being dead honest. If I catch your fucking cat in my backyard and your cat's doing whatever the fuck, I'm probably gonna shoot it. Fuck it. And I'm not gonna go on Facebook and post a bunch of fucking pictures and be like, I shot your cat because I'm pissed off because you posted pictures of killing snakes. They do that shit all the time. All these pictures where some dumbass redneck done killed this snake and post pictures, nothing ever happens. But yeah, you kill a cat,
and it's illegal.
So they're gonna be pissed
off.
Yeah.
So you can't just kill animals.
And cats are invasive. I feel like kill them. You're killing worms. You're killing hogs. All this shit, kill a cat.
They're a domestic animal that's never domesticated because they'll always hunt no matter what you do.
So if humans can't do anything about the berm problem in Florida, like what do you think
Florida
they should do?
Is a wasteland.
They should just leave it be?
It's misfit toys, dude.
Yeah, little bad.
But they should just leave it be? Like it's only going to get worse. Like if they can't, what should they do about the berms in Florida? Like what's the answer?
I don't think there is an answer. I mean, I think each year you can only go out and cull so many, but they're going to keep producing.
And then what about the Argentine tegu? What about iguanas?
But here's my thing is I think once at a certain age and certain size, they're still on the food chain. You know what I'm saying? There's animals that still eat them. Gators are eating big ones, 12 feet, they're eating them. You know, other animals, the pumas and stuff, and the bears probably, all that shit. Have they done the research on those animals and if they're eating these pythons? Because the weather is going to stop. Hunters are going to stop some of it. The predators are going to stop some of it. And they're only going to go so far before they hit weather that they can't adapt to. Pythons, it's a python. You know what I'm saying? It's a tropical species.
Anywhere other than
and they're going to hype you up. Oh, my God, it's going to come out of Florida. It's going to be in Georgia. It's going to be – that shit gets all too cold.
And then the U.S. will be underwater if they're ever able to survive. You know, like they had USGS said that they would be able to survive in Pennsylvania via global warming in 50 years or something. Bitch, if it's that warm, if it's 80 degrees all year in fucking Maryland,
more stuff is gonna have
motherfucker,
issues.
The ice caps will be, there'll be no fucking
There's gonna be
anywhere.
way more issues. But so y'all are saying just let nature handle it. Humans
There's
can't do anything.
you can do. But the thing
just
is,
let
like,
nature handle it.
the Everglades is such a fucking sacred place for everything, then why is sugar mills there? Why do they have all these business interests in the
oil companies
in the Everglades? Why are you selling out the Everglades if you're so fucking concerned?
Okay, wait,
they're
pause,
fucking
pause,
bullshit.
pause.
They just want
Instagram's
money.
about to
Fucking
end.
bullshit.
There's only 2 people watching on Instagram, but if you're on Instagram, come to YouTube or Facebook, Theportcitypythons, by Instagram. It's about to end. Yeah. Okay,
and like Lily Pat said, humans are an invasive species.
I 100%. We fuck up more of this planet than any animal ever. Yeah. We move into their habitat, and then we freak out when they attack something or animals or bite us.
There's a bear in my backyard. Yeah, you're in the fucking.
And lately, what have they been talking about? They've been talking about the fucking great whites, and then you got this fuck off mayor or whoever he was. I don't remember what he was, but he's like, well, let's go cull the great whites because we want to swim in the ocean, even though it's their home.
The ocean's not for you, bitch.
A great white? Like they're not. They're. It's a great white. What the fuck are you talking about? Just kill it so you can have your way. And I fucking hate people. Like I love my fucking snakes and I love my friends and shit, but some of these fucking people are just fucking retarded. And it's like I almost wish there would be some kind of, I don't want to say natural disaster, but I mean there needs to be like a purge. Like the movie Purge needs to happen. And let's start with these politicians, these fucking oil companies, these fucking all that kind of shit. Not to get all crazy, but those are the people that are fucking this planet off. Greed is killing this shit, not Burmese pythons. You know, there's
everyone's looking for a distraction to take away from the actual facts to where it's just humans fucking shit up.
Your dog just farted.
Oh, wait, did it right?
I don't think so.
Did you fart?
That was funny.
Did you fart? No, you didn't. Go. You gotta go. JC, you gotta go.
But yeah, I mean, to each their own. I don't know. I love snakes, and I understand the culling of the pythons. But I think what's dumb to me is what are they doing with them?
I think everything's got to be equal.
Burning them.
No, I mean, what are they doing with them?
Burning them.
I don't think they're doing anything. I think they kill them and then they probably burn them.
Well, they say they're going to give them to research in quotes. And
fuck research. You can eat fucking snake. We've got hungry people in other countries. We got hungry people fucking here.
That's what I'm saying. I don't mind.
We use the skin. Let's use all that shit. I mean, you might as well make a positive out of it. If you're not going to release them to people to keep or whatever, do something with them. Not just burn them up, but, you know, whatever.
People.
I'm just...
See, how long before nature, you know, y'all are talking about warming up, and how long before nature handles this situation?
I ain't no Scientologist.
Oh,
I don't
Lord,
know.
stop.
No, really.
I mean, I don't know. You look at different things that go on, and it's like, I'm very sure that's not the first breeding facility to be hit by a hurricane, especially if you live in Florida. I mean, look, we got a hurricane that's fixing to come up now. How many breeders are out there now? Yeah. So, I mean, if it hits and then you got more stuff loose.
Every big breeder.
You know, and I think shit happens. Like, that's just the way I feel. Shit happens. And I don't think once it's happened, I don't think there's a way you can go back and try to kill everything to fix order. Because I think the biggest threat to this planet is not fucking pythons in the Everglades, it's people. Mm-hmm. We are fucking more shit up than any snake will. And if we're not going to fix the shit we're doing, what the fuck does it matter what a snake is doing in the Everglades? I mean, you're cutting down so much of the Amazon, and people are like, well, but we need this, motherfucker, we need oxygen. That's what the fuck we need. Oxygen, people. You're cutting down these trees, and it's like you start getting into the whole hemp aspect. Oh, we could use this instead to make the same paper instead of cutting down the trees, and this, and this, and the medication, and, you know, not to get all into that, but we need the fucking Amazon. Like, we need it, and y'all are just cutting it down. Whatever the fuck, but then you're worried about pythons over here. You're not worried about cats killing off everything, but just that fear thing about snakes. It's, you know, fucking blame everything on the snakes. You know,
well, as Americans, we fear the unknown. Like, somehow, as Americans, we're bred to fear that. And snakes, even though, you know, people have been keeping them since what you told me, like the 70s. Or we've talked about this.
I mean, people have been keeping them for a long time, but they've only been prevalent in the 70s.
So right, it's only been like 40 years, and even though it's been 40 years, that's still an unknown. Like, as Americans as a whole, like, don't know about keeping snakes. So unfortunately, until it's like very widespread, it's going to continue to be an unknown, and Americans are going to continue to fear it.
I think people are just going. They fear anything they don't understand. Period.
Right.
Whether it's snakes or whatever, they're just naturally scared of their own shadows. You know, and it's a lot of fear is learned anyway. It's not like we're born and we're scared of snakes. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a 1.5-year-old and she's in there and all she does is, you know, there's no fear
it's
there.
Taught. It's
now, if I
taught.
teach her to be scared of them, she'd be scared of them. Of course, never teach her that because God, I got snakes. So why would I?
You gotta be. There's a healthy level of fear, but also there's a level of respect that everyone can have,
right? And
whether or not you fear it.
Exactly. And right now, you know, she's at that age right now that I don't have anything venomous. I got rid of everything venomous when we found out my wife was pregnant. So there's nothing in the house that would hurt her. You know what I'm saying? So she can go in the room and she looks around and stuff. I won't put anything in her hands, but I teach her all about it. I have, you know, when she's older, that's when the this is dangerous, it's venomous and that kind of, so she'd understand. She wouldn't understand a rattlesnake from a ball python right now. So why would I even try to teach that? But I think everybody needs to take the time and learn themselves, educate themselves, then try to teach somebody. If you just learn a little bit of education, you know, it goes a long way. When you see all these people out here killing these venomous snakes, and they always got these stupid ass excuses on why they killed it. And those are the idiots that get bit. Like, it could bit me, so I'm gonna kill it. Then you get bit. You fucking idiot. Like, if you'd have left it alone, nothing would have happened. And then you get bit, and it really hurts you. When you don't die, you go in the hospital and get that fucking doctor bill, and that thing is $150,000, $200,000.
Now you're $2,500 a vial for some crow fab.
If you knew how much that would cost you before you decide to kill that snake, you wouldn't kill that fucking snake.
Fucking leave it alone.
You would be like, if I kill this motherfucker and it bites me, it's gonna put me in debt.
I have to remortgage my house.
Yeah, like use your brain. So
I have a question. It might be dumb, but okay, I see a lot on YouTube and Instagram and so that say like, oh, I made my snake like docile, like I made my snake yada yada. Do you think it's possible that eventually we will make ball pythons more active? Like after handling, because
well, I'm still stuck on the docile part. I don't know if you can take.
I mean, I disagree with that. I don't know, but a lot of people are so strong, you know, strong in the fact that they made their snake docile. So like, okay, if you think you can make your snake docile, can you make your snake more active?
I think active is. I look at them. Most people go in their snake rooms during the day and they're looking at ball pythons. They're not doing shit, and they're like, they're not doing anything. Walking there at night. My fucking ball python's all over the place at night.
Okay.
During the day, she generally, unless she's hungry, she generally just sits in a corner. She doesn't do too much. My green tree pythons probably do a lot less than my ball python.
Definitely.
And then ball pythons get a bad rap for being rocks, pet rocks, and they don't do shit. And I'm like, they are pretty fucking active. They're
really,
more active
I've
than my green
never
trees.
seen an active ball python.
At night. Yeah.
At night. Okay.
I mean, she's pretty active. Like if you go in there right now, she's probably, I guarantee she's probably moving around right now. She's just an active snake. But if people are like, oh, well, one, you got to look at what you're feeding it, how often you're feeding it. And then two, you know, some snakes just, that's their nature. They hide out in burrows and they come out at night and eat their food and they go back in their burrow and they digest. That's what they do. You're trying to change a snake from what it naturally does to fit what you want. For what? Just enjoy the snake for what it is. It's a snake that doesn't do too much. Because if you go get a snake that's just all over the fucking place every time you get it out, you'll be like, man, fuck, I wish this snake would sit still. I can't even take a picture of it because it keeps fucking moving. Right. Then you complain about a ball python that you can take a million fucking pictures of because it's just going to sit there. I don't know.
Do you think people can actually make their snake stuff? Like, do you think humans really have an effect on the temperament of snakes?
Yeah, I think if you handle them enough and they get used to you. But I think it's also a personality thing where some snakes are going to be like, leave me the fuck alone.
My pine snake will never be docile.
No matter how much you handle it.
And I think they get to a point where
it would be a detriment to it, I believe.
And I think aggressive snakes, if you like, what I've always seen with defensive, aggressive, however you want to say it, that certain snakes, they turn out to be better breeders. They eat good and they're better, you know, they produce better.
Yeah.
Because they're almost, you know, natural. Like, leave me the fuck alone. So I don't know. And it's like I posted a question about green trees. I don't understand why so many people want to take their green tree and hold it like it's a ball python or corn and constantly hold it. And how do I tame it down? I have ones I can handle. I just don't. I don't
put my snake that's good enough to just look at.
It's just exactly. Yeah. I feel like it's, you know, it's a beautiful snake that just leave it the fuck alone. Let it sit up on its perch and be fucking pretty. Take lots of pictures, and that's it.
It's the best thing to take pictures of. It barely moves. But
I mean, I feel like if it's an emergency, let's say shed, you got to get it out. Certain things you have to put your hands on it. I get it.
And you're hoping that it may be
just to hold it. Just to hold it. I don't agree. I don't think people should. But
and I think it's on a perch already. There's no reason to put hands on unless you really want to.
Some people just want to be that. Right. Oh, look, I can handle my pretty green tree. Yay.
But I mean, like we were talking about, I don't feed my green tree until it starts moving around at night. So your green tree will be mostly doing nothing, and then give it like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then it will start hunting at night. And then to me, when I open that tub and it's like, I'm about to fuck you up, I'm like, okay, now it's time to feed it. And that's how I go about feeding mine.
You know, what I have thought about doing is in my snake room, probably get like a bunch of crepe myrtle or driftwood, and actually, I don't want to say a jungle gym. I don't know how to say it, but have like the wall in the room and just put the shit on the wall, screw it into the wall, whatever, and almost just like an exercise rack. And then I just can take them out and put them and just let them crawl and do whatever the fuck they want to do without me putting my hands on it. And it's just something new. Because I mean, they do explore. If you go in their cages and you change their stuff up, no matter how lazy your snake is, he's going to check out the new environment because it's new. So he's going to check it out. New plants, new whatever, new perches. He's going to check everything out. Move the water bowl over to a different side. He's going to check it out. So I think if you take him out and you do put him on something like that, let him exercise, I think they'll do great. I don't think you have to put your hands on them, but some people want to hold every snake they have. Some people even want to hold venomous snakes. Like they just want to hold it. And I don't get the thrill of, you know, if I want something I can hold, I'll get a king snake, you know, something like that.
I just always separate that in my mind as for like, okay, this snake's for holding. This snake is because I love this snake that it exists in the world. Like, I'm glad that pine snakes exist. I don't need.
But we're not touching it. We're not
like I can appreciate it without having to go hands on. That's why I hate zoos, though. I always want to touch shit. It'll be like a mandarin rat snake, and I'm like, come on, let me hold that bitch.
It's once again goes back to because we can't, you know, and now you feel you want to. You go to the zoo, it's like I want to touch the giraffes, or I mean, some places you can, but most places they have certain animals you can't touch, but you always want to, you know, and it's just because they tell you you can't, and so it's like you naturally want to because you're being told you can't.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Thomas asked, "What's your thoughts on the guy that received 2 citations for not having snakes on a leash?" I don't know what that. What?
I don't know anything about that. You sound what, like some fucking idiot outside walking in snakes trying to get attention? I mean, that's to me is more negative attention. I don't take my snakes outside because I know people are scared of snakes. And if you come over, I will show you my snakes, but I'm not fixing to take them outside because somebody's going to freak out. And apparently like this idiot, then it's negative attention waiting to happen. And they don't need any more negative attention.
Thomas, give us some more information because we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know what this is. So do you think humans can make a snake can we really affect anything about, like, can we really affect the feeding response of a snake? Can we really is there anything we can really do? Or is a snake just gonna do what it wants?
I think behavior wise, you can, I don't want to say tame, but you can not, so they won't be so aggressive, but that's about it. Any other, how they are, a snake is a snake. So I don't think they're going to change anything.
Can you change the feeding response of a snake?
I hope it's good. It's good. Then you don't
but if it's bad, can you make it good?
But what is a bad feeding response? I mean, that's a bad feeding response. I hope to change that, you know. But other than that, I mean,
there's some very gentle snakes.
Yeah, is that what you're looking for? Like,
yeah.
to be able to hand feed a snake? Is that because
that's not necessary?
There's some dickheads that eat bad and some dickheads that eat really good, and it's not 100%. Most dickheads eat really good. If I have one that's shitty at feeding, I'll feed it more frequently, so it'll get more of a feeding response across the board. And I feel that helps. That may be just me mentally, but I mean, for my palmetto, that shit ate like once every 2 weeks. And then once I got him eating, you know, I started giving him every 3 to 4 days. And then eventually, after like a couple months, I backed off, and now he eats every time I put stuff in there. So
you did have an effect on its feeding.
maybe, or maybe he just got a little bit older and is like, I like this pinky stuff.
Motherfucker got hungry.
I
I mean, just not eat for a while. I think your stomach's gonna be like, fucker, eat something.
Yeah, who's to say? I mean,
William said, if I get a snake, I'll be a vegetarian.
I mean,
your dreams.
There's some people out there who probably think that. But.
So, okay, the guy who got 2 citations for not having a snake on a leash, he had them at a park.
Again,
that
to me is just, it's negative attention. Like, why would you take your snakes out there? Because you're looking for a reaction of people. If you're going out to a public place, you know, you see these pictures like New Orleans and shit where people just walk around with their retics and stuff. For what? To scare people, really. You know people are scared of snakes. You know people have irrational reactions. It's not just like, ooh, I don't like that. People spaz the fuck out when they see a snake and they're scared. And they don't even know why they're scared. Most people I've seen that are scared of snakes have never had an interaction with a snake. And then the ones that have are always some backwoods redneck that tells you some bullshit story about how some fucking cottonmouth chased him down the fucking street.
That's not all. I was scared of snakes before I started dating him. Don't put it all on rednecks.
But why?
It's a lot. Because it is unknown. Like I will always say, Americans, I mean, I think that's human intuition in general is fear of the unknown.
It's someone somewhere taught you snakes were bad.
No.
People in the city don't like
No. No one ever taught me it was unknown because no one ever had one. No, I mean, no one ever taught me it was bad. It was that, and I honestly, over like bugs and shit, I always was a person that's like, I'm going to be less scared of snakes than bugs. Bugs, it's 100% like not going to happen. Never going to be in the room. If I see a roach, I'm crying, I'm screaming, it's done. Snakes, I was like, okay,
I can. Me that.
I mean,
NARBC, hissing roaches just going to land on her.
He doesn't like it either. Like, no. If you throw a roach on me, you're dead. Like, because my response is going to be, I'm going to scratch your eyes out because I'm not scared. But I was always the person who was like, okay, snakes, for some reason, they scare me a little bit less, but they still scare me because of the unknown. No one ever taught me they were bad because no one ever had them. No one is ever, it wasn't a thing growing up because no one ever had, it wasn't a thing that was ever discussed because no one ever had them, but it was completely I don't know what they can do.
I think that's a natural instinct.
Yeah, but
that's
there's so many people that are just
naturally,
there's so many people that are just scared of snakes. And it's like my mom is deathly scared of snakes. And I've asked her, like, where did you ever have a run-in with a snake that caused you to be so scared of snakes? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, see, that's what I don't understand. How do you get that scared of something that you've never really encountered? I mean, like I used to work at a pet store, and I remember one day I had a boa out, and it was 5-foot boa. All the kids come up, and the first thing the kids want to do is touch the snake. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm holding the head because I don't need no problems, and let the kids touch the snake, and I'm talking about it.
Right.
My mom comes around the corner and freaks the fuck out. And I mean, she freaks out. She's instantly like, oh my God, no, don't touch it. And I'm like, don't do that. She's like, well, I'm scared of snakes. Why the fuck are you freaking out with your kid touching the snake if you're scared of snakes? And instantly, what did the kid do? The kid got scared and backed up, was like, oh my God, this is going to hurt me. And I'm like, this is what we're talking about. Don't fucking do that. And I did. I was like, don't fucking do that.
You did not say that.
I did. Hey, zero filter. Zero filter. I have a couple friends. If they were in here right now, they would tell you this dude is legit. He's at pet stores that I've worked at. I've cussed customers the fuck out because I have a patience level of not existent. And so I come in here, you get dumbass people, and it instantly just, I don't handle stupidity well. And I would flip out on these people. And I mean, that's just, it's bad for business, but it is what it is.
I haven't found a good way to reiterate the fact to people that snakes aren't dangerous. It's hard. Like for me, I just keep my mouth shut because I don't really like the confrontation of it. But like, it never happened anywhere else I lived. But now that I live here, there's more snakes here. So like more people don't like snakes.
And I've also, I think a general fear of snakes was created because of the Bible. I've always said that.
Someone just brought that up.
Joel Osteen.
He said, Thomas said, if you're religious, I believe it comes from the serpent that tempted Adam and Eve.
I 100% agree with that, because so many people are religious, and then they all have this natural fear of it was this serpent and the devil. You actually take the snake and make it the devil, and so now they're like, snakes are the devil. That's bad. That's fear. That's everything you think about, and it makes sense that that's that natural fear. It's still learned behavior. It's not natural. It's something you heard from somebody else, and it scares the shit out of you. If they'd used a fucking cat, have you ever looked at a fucking cat in the face?
Cats are scary.
Those fucking eyes.
Cats are scary.
Those fuckers are piercing your fucking soul.
They are
That's
scary.
what they should have used to tempt Eve, because that motherfucker's scary.
Cats are more scary than snakes
and
if you look at them in the face.
They look like they're plotting your demise. Like, go to sleep, motherfucker. Cats are just, but I mean, I agree 100% that the Bible helped push that negative image on snakes, because that's where most of your first contact, I guess I would say, that's where most of your first anything about snakes comes from, is when you're growing up as a little kid. You hear about the Bible and how this snake, this serpent tempted Eve. And so instantly you're like, oh, that's bad. And so then when you go somewhere, you now have a fear of what you associate as bad. Sharks. Look what fucking Jaws did. Nobody really gave a shit about sharks until Jaws came out. Then Jaws came out, and everybody was like, what the fuck? I'm not swimming in the ocean. Hell no. Y'all see the size of that shark? That ain't even a real fucking, it's a fucking puppet. You know what I'm saying? And y'all are looking at that shit like it's real. Most of those sharks don't do anything. And it's like you have this fear of a snake killing you, and they kill even venomous snakes. You have more of a chance of going out in that car and going to work and dying than of a snake killing you. You have more of a chance of a horse killing you. You have more of a chance of your dog killing you. Cows, bees, just about everything under the fucking sun will kill you before a snake will. But for some reason, snakes are what's so fucking scary and so.
But fear is real. Think about. Not to reinvigorate a stereotype, but unfortunately, my people are afraid of dogs. Afraid of dogs.
Black folks?
Yeah.
I'm half black.
Yeah,
and I know people are probably
afraid of dogs.
Unfortunately, we are scared of dogs. And I know you just said like,
no, I think because here's where urban black people are afraid of dogs.
Urban, you know why? And it's not that they're scared of dogs. I think they're more scared because I kind of feel like a lot of people are scared of the police. And what do the police do? You ever watch them use them goddamn dogs on people?
But I think I see all dogs. I see all dogs. They're scared of. They're all dogs.
Yeah, I mean,
and it just shows you how fear and irrational. Okay, I'm sorry. Again, my people are afraid of swimming pools. Totally irrational. But it shows you how but a majority of our people are afraid of it, and shows you how an irrational fear, if it is systemic and if it is constant, it can be more powerful than anything else.
But it's also learned. It's like, okay, if your mom was scared of water,
culture threat,
and then you're born. What do you think? She's scared of water, so why are you going to go to the water? Why she's going to teach? Oh no, I'm scared. I'm scared. So now you're scared. It just keeps being taught.
It's totally
and then
systemic.
You get some people that are just like, I'm gonna just go swimming. Like fuck it, it's fucking swimming.
It's fear can be the most powerful thing.
Then I think people naturally don't like snakes just because they needed to survive back in the day. Because snakes were inherently dangerous, as was everything else. But you see a monkey and you're like, that's kind of like a human. You're not as afraid of that, but that shit will rip your face off and then eat you asshole first. Like, they don't give a fuck. So it's like, people also don't like what's different than them.
Which is part of the unknown. What's different is unknown.
Yeah. We need to get on to a different subject. What are we talking about?
We'll start talking about monkeys eating ass. I don't know where the fuck that conversation was fixing to go. But I'm sure.
It's about fear and all of that. But what do you think is the most feared? Well, no, the most feared snake. Do you think it's a rattlesnake?
I think it's just a snake in general. I think so many people are just so or uneducated about snakes. You see this copperhead and it's a rat snake. This water moccasin and it's a water snake. They don't know. To them, all snakes are the same. Poisonous. They don't know the difference.
Snake with an arrow-shaped head, which is like every snake can be an arrow-shaped
head. Or
the
pupils, you can tell by the eyes, and it's just like all this crazy information out there.
Not.
You can't even go by the whole yellow and black thing with coral snakes, because there's some aberrant stuff out there that just doesn't
the mold,
yeah. And you get some crazy coral snake that just didn't come out like the rest of them, and it looks like a milk snake. You know, so you reach down, pick it up, and now you're getting crowfab or whatever.
Black touches yellow in Central America could mean one or another. There's different species out there that may work for, you know, some species here in the States, but it doesn't really work for a lot of the other ones.
So someone said, I used to believe snakes were the devil till Brian from Snake Bites or Animal Bites showed me how beautiful they are. I've got a corn snake and I'm getting a boa this year.
I think, all right, I'm going to say something weird. Brian's kind of like a Petco, to where everyone that may be their first experience. So Petco, you're like, yeah, you may have fucked up the first time, but it's like buy your next leopard gecko somewhere else and from a good breeder. It may be your introduction to stuff, but you move on and go on to bigger things. So
I agree with
Petco and PetSmart does a good job of letting the public see, hey, this is a snake. You may be interested in snakes, leopard geckos, all that stuff. But then they go on and do more research. Introductory human being to where you may go on and start getting into snakes.
And that's how I felt. When we first started dating, you showed me Brian. I was like, oh my God, I love him. Like, he's awesome. Like, I didn't know anything about snakes. He brought me in. I was like, he's educating me so much.
Yeah.
Now it's been almost a year and I'm like, I'm over
it's like,
Brian.
It's a different level.
But it's like, I feel like I'm past
education.
Brian. And not saying that Brian doesn't serve a purpose. As many issues as people have with Brian, I think he serves a purpose, whether that be positive or negative to some people. I think he serves a purpose. But I agree with you that at some point it's important that the public acknowledges that there are people past Brian, that there are people that aren't wholesalers, that don't have a million bajillion snakes, and that can give you the real shit.
That's not even the issue. I mean, there's people that have millions of snakes that are good people and aren't asking for naked pictures of people and shit like that. I mean, that shit's true and it is what it is. But there's people out there that, you know, they take advantage of who they are. And it's almost like he is because the technology we use. Your phone is a computer. People are on the computers and that's all you see. And so you look at YouTube, you type in snake stuff, that's what pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you see so much stuff because I remember when I first saw it, I thought, oh, cool. You know, a thing all about snakes because I love snakes. This is all about snakes. Fuck yeah. Then I seen people getting bit on purpose, people letting green tree pythons bite them in the face and, you know, just the dumb shit. And then not to even mention all the shit afterwards, you know, the dirty cages, all the sick animals, the mites, all that kind of shit. It was just all the stressing of the snakes. There's videos now where he's hooking up with other people on Instagram and they're going out there and they're scaring people with animals. I'm so against all that. Why would you take a snake and just perpetrate that fear that's already there?
Stress it on purpose.
And then you're stressing the animal on top of it. As somebody, you know, he posted something about Steve Irwin being his fucking hero. Then walk that line and do like that man did, because right now he wouldn't be no fan of Brian Barczyk.
But if Barczyk starts tailing a brown snake in the middle of Australia, people would be like, "Fuck this guy too."
Man, look, don't even get me started on that fucking crap show, fucking Venom Hunters, because they were trying to. It's like they were making it cool, and they were selling bullshit. They're telling people that you go out, you catch these fucking venomous snakes, we milk them at this facility, and we get paid a lot of money. Well, a lot of motherfuckers were doing dumb shit like money from this, and they're gonna go out and do that shit. You weren't even a legit venom handler, and you damn sure didn't have no company that you're selling the venom to. So you're perpetrating shit for views and for and that's dangerous to play with. If he's your hero, do like him and you know, wildlife conservation, and quit stressing your fucking animals and change your whole get up. You know, fix the shit that you broke. Be what you say you are and stand up, because his name in the community, a lot of people that don't know anybody else know who Brian Barczyk is just because of his status through YouTube or whatever.
And that's why I think the positive of him is that he brings people in.
I mean, that's about where it stops. So with the platform he had with Venom Hunters, you could have reached so many more people on a very positive level, and you sold out.
Not that herper icon. Like, he doesn't go out and herp for shit ever at all. So I think, like, in order to be that icon, you have to love being in the wild and finding snakes and being
I wouldn't say that, because I know there's a lot of these big breeders out here that we all know, whether it's chondros or stuff. Some of those guys get out and about and have been to Australia and out in the wilderness.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Some of them exist, and some of them haven't, and that's not their thing. They don't go outside and all that bullshit, but they are still some of the best breeders there are. It's just everybody's different, but not do it for ratings, for money, for an image. You know, do it because of your passion for the fucking animals. You know, I love this snake, so I'm going to take care of this snake. I'm not going to put fidget spinners on his fucking head. I'm not going to kiss it and let it bite me in the face for your entertainment while I'm pulling away and pulling his fucking teeth out of his mouth. I'm not going to take a snake and stress it out by scaring somebody and keeping them scared of something they shouldn't be scared of. You should be out there teaching people that there's nothing to fear as long as you respect this animal and understand what this animal's capable of, but taking care of it and learning its ways, not scaring people with them. And that shit is just beyond me that you do that dumb shit with your status and who you are. Other than that, I don't, you know, I'm not going to rag on the dude. He is who he is, but fuck him.
Thomas, on a different note, Thomas said, I would love the chance to hold and get to know a green anaconda. What do y'all think about that?
I like greenies. I mean, I think now they're not like they used to be, where if you dealt with them, they were a lot like retics. Like, it was instantaneous bites. You're getting bit. My two worst bites from any snake ever have both been green anaconda bites. And I bled like a stuck pig.
Juveniles or
5 foot juvenile? I mean, 5 foot. They're still pretty much a juvenile.
Yearling.
You know, yearling, year and a half. But that shit, it hurts and you bleed and you swell up, and they've got bacteria in their mouths. I mean, venomous bite, because I can't compare it. I've never been bit, but it wasn't.
They probably don't have small teeth. Plus, like, I just always wondered why it was okay to keep them in tubs when in the wild, whenever you see them, they're in rivers, like chilling there waiting for prey. So I always wondered why the captive care they go where they do, as far as they pretty much keep them like retics, say a decent sized tub for water and then newspaper print.
It's to me, it's like any snake. I mean, you hear people all the time talking about chondros, and babies shouldn't be put in large enclosures because they'll stress, blah blah blah. And I'm like, in my head, like, well, they're born in the fucking wild where it's all fucking open. I just feel like if the cage doesn't fucking matter, as long as you have enough shit for it to hide and feel secure. You can put it in the biggest fucking cage possible. I had a 24 by 18 exo that I modified, and this is a few years back when I had gotten a chondro. And as a baby, like a neo, it was probably a couple months old. I put it in that, and it was pretty much a bio setup, live plants everywhere, and it could hide. I never had any problems with that snake. So I just feel like people saying, oh, thank you. People saying that, it's, you know, too big of a cage, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think if you properly set the cage up, you're not gonna have any problems. It all comes back with you as a keeper not setting up your shit properly.
Yeah,
that's just I don't know.
Same with, but ball pythons can never really be kept in a big enclosure because you're not going to make a termite mound. I mean, they're going to be small.
It'd be pretty badass, but you just would never see them.
Yeah,
you know, you could do something like that, like a zoo setup, had this big elaborate setup. But
you could definitely.
I don't see the need in doing something like that with something that just hides all the time. What's the fun in that? You're setting something up like that so you can see it. I think, you know, a lot of your big snakes like that, they sit out. And I think an anaconda, if you did the right big setup, would be pretty badass. Chondros, they're out. You know, emerald tree boas, they're out. You know, a lot of these snakes are out. Some of them, you know, your ball pythons, king snakes, a lot of that shit that likes to hide. Why would you do a big elaborate setup for something that's just going to hide all the time is kind of beyond me. But I don't know.
Someone asked, does anyone keep boas on the stream? If so, is a 5 or 6 foot vivarium big enough for a female common boa?
I don't, but yes, for sure.
Like a fish tank? Or you mean like a PVC cage? I mean, what kind of cage are we talking about? I mean, I don't think any snake really needs to be a fish tank, but
yeah, I mean, it's a fish tank. It's fish,
you know,
for fish.
But you know, I don't know. So I don't really keep boas, so I don't want to speak on boas because I don't. As far as like upkeep, if you're doing a natural setup, I don't really know.
They would definitely be a species that would tear shit up, I would imagine.
I know
But if you
they're
have some sturdy branches.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say I know they're semi-arboreal. Your humidity,
Yeah.
they're gonna be treated a lot like your emeralds and stuff. But I don't know too much about boas.
Why don't either of you keep boas?
I'm a python fan.
You just
It's just
all
different.
pythons?
Also, there's
I don't like the way they
IBD that's in boas. So if you keep
that
pythons,
is. What is IBD?
so inclusion body disease, it doesn't really affect boas that much. But if you keep pythons, they can pass it to the pythons. Lethal in pythons. It can be lethal in boas, I believe, at the end of the day. But pythons, it will affect them much more, and they can get really sick, and it's lethal. There's nothing you can do about it. So there's problems with that as far as mixing your collection. But
she said a proper vivarium, wooden on all sides except for front glass panel for a boa.
I think it just comes down to your temps and your humidity and keeping everything. You got to, if you're using a wooden cage and you're housing a high humidity animal where that requires, pretty much more humidity than like a king snake, you got to take that in mind because your wood is going to rot, get kind of moldy, stuff like that. But I mean, for a while, I guess it'd be fine. I mean, not permanent life cage, but
I think you could set any type of enclosure up for anything as long as some are just going to work with you a lot more than others. So if you have a ball python in an enclosure like that, it's going to be harder to keep the humidity in. You're going to have to work a lot harder to keep it in there than a tub. But I mean, that's on you. I mean, you can do all the extra work to try to keep that humidity up there.
William would like you to rap about snakes. William.
I mean, Ice Cube's good and all, but he's not really a freak.
He might look like Ice Cube. Joe's been called Shrek after he changed into a human.
I don't know.
That's what someone called him. Either of those people, just because they look like them, doesn't mean I think they would make good raps about snakes. Unfortunately,
yeah, there ain't no freestyle here.
They can tell you some things. We talked a lot about reptile shows and anything. What's the next reptile show coming up in Texas? Is it NARBC? NARBC?
NARBC is September
23rd.
24th.
Mm-hmm. Why does Lone Star not do August and September? Do you know why?
Because there's so many shows. I mean, there's just so many. I know they've got one in October. Mm-hmm. They had one.
And they have one in December, but they
have one last month. It seems like it's like every 3 months.
They don't do August or September or November.
I think it's mainly because there's just so many other shows to compete with. Like, why are you going to do a reptile show when there's another show going on over here? Because
same exact market, same people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll see the same exact breeder in Grapevine as you do in Arlington because they're only fucking 25 minutes apart. Like,
but NARBC is coming up, and that's going to be a good time. Can't wait.
Why do you think in like the European countries there's fewer shows?
There's more regulation, and then also there's just less variety there because there's more laws. Just the regulation.
Do you think that regulation is good? Like, do you think that regulation is there for a reason?
There's some silly ones, there's some not silly ones. So they have to keep they need to keep some shows want a water bowl in there with the snake. A lot of them need 3 sides or 4 sides of the enclosure, and only one can be like see-through. So if you have a glass display, all the sides need to be
there's crazy
out.
laws. There's crazy laws in different places. Like I know in Australia, someone had told me you can't breed like a green tree to a carpet.
You
can't make carpandros. Like there's so much shit that you can't do. I personally,
if it's captive, everything.
My whole thing about hybrids is to each their own. You're not paying that person's rent, so you shouldn't tell them shit about what they want to make. But you should have a plan what to do with these hybrids. I don't see ball python, carpet pythons, or ball python Burmese pythons selling that well. Anything with a ball python in it, I don't see that shit selling like that. Carpandros sell, and carpandros are pretty badass. And when you think about it, they're the same, pretty much in the same family. I know it's a hybrid, but it's still same wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying?
Same continent.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. When you're taking something from Africa and putting it with something from Asia or, something from Australia, you're getting an animal that lives its life a certain way to another animal that lives a certain way and eats certain things, both at different kind of temps.
And they probably definitely won't produce. I mean, I don't think there's many hybrids outside of genus that will produce. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm not against them. I just think you need to have a plan.
I just need to know, but it's hard if you have a carpet to coastal, like, or jungle to coastal. Like, why would you do that? It's impossible to tell if it's going to be pure jungle or pure coastal, and like, there's just no desirable.
Well, like I think that all, like a lot of that came from the whole let's get the Jags, you know, and then you left with all these siblings, and so that's what they would do.
Yeah,
and
sibs.
You know, but there's a lot of people, and I've listened to NPR where they actually say that, you know, jungles and coastals are the same, and I just like, oh no, don't say that. But I mean, it pretty much is, but
at the same time,
you know, it's just a locale specific coastal, basically.
Some people decided that we split things. Some people like to put things together. But if I look at a brettle, I mean, it's not going to be the same as a jungle. But to me, the same thing with coastal. That's not.
And
the same,
I mean, personally, it's like chondros. I don't even think, like, we still call them chondros, and they're not chondros. They're Morelia, but we will always call them chondros. And they should. I feel like they should be their own. You know, their own thing. I don't think they don't look like.
They have a similar head shape, but how different is a fucking green tree from all your other carpets? It's crazy.
So I don't know, but like I said, if you want to make hybrids, make them. Just have a plan. You know, certain things sell well, certain things don't, and then it's people not advertising what you're selling. And I think that's a bigger issue when you look at your sibling carpets and stuff like that. Your diamond crosses where someone might want a pure diamond, and there's a lot of 88% that look pure. Yeah. That's when it's an issue, and that's not even hybrids. But you can't, like a Carpondro is pretty much worth more than an import green tree pure. So why would you sell it as a pure, you know? And you can pretty much tell the difference when you see them.
You need to sell it as what it is.
Tell, you know, a lot of them, and then people are like, I'm so worried they're going to misrepresent. Why would you misrepresent a Carpondro, you know, as something it's not?
But yeah, because that's just as desirable. But
yeah,
also, like, people are just, the people who care about how pure stuff is are going to get pure stuff, because we're going to go to the people who have pure stuff. So that's kind of why, like, I don't care that much who does it. Like, I care personally, but I'm going to go to someone who has pure shit.
Exactly. And if I feel like it becomes a problem in the hobby if you're just buying from random folks. If I want green trees, I'm going to Ian. I'm going to Bill. I'm going to Gary. I'm going to fucking Buddy. I'm going to, you know, all these guys that breed fucking badass green trees. That's where I would go. I'm not going over here to Tom, Dick, and Harry, you know, who's just going to send me something that I don't know shit about it. You know, I want guys, you know, the animal I want is a big part of it, but it's also that customer service. You know, these guys that take time out of their days to talk to you. Some of these guys, you know, you talk about Nick Mutton and Harlan Wall. You know, I texted Nick, and I mean, we texted for like an hour. And people, I've heard all the stories about, you get on the phone with Nick, you're on the phone, like, he likes to talk. I actually talked to Harlan Wall, and I swear I got maybe 3 sentences in an hour, and he just talked. Now, I soaked it all up, and I'm listening to everything he's saying, but it's just, the dude just talks.
I did the same with these guys. Bassett, which like old school guy did Chondros too.
And it's like, and I love it too, because they start talking, and you just learn so much. And it's like, you're just listening. It's like, it's almost like just listening to like NPR or GTP Keeper. It's the same kind of shit, like, but they're talking to you, you're just listening, and they're just going, I'm loving it. It's like, this is badass. But I'd rather deal with being on the phone with someone for 3 hours and barely getting a word in than dealing with somebody who just doesn't want to talk to me and help me out. And
there's so many people who are just like begging to give you information. Like, there's so many people who don't give a fuck. Once you get an ear that gives a fuck, they'll like tell you everything. And
that shit's fun. I like talking to people.
I just don't like the Jag sip thing. I mean, it's a co-dominant gene that is obviously it's just a 50-50 coastal jungle.
Okay, Thomas said, Cartel, how often do you take your snakes to the vet?
If I see an issue. I don't.
So there's no regular routine.
I don't have a regular routine where it's like, oh, here's a 6 months, a 6 month.
Evan, have you been drinking?
Dr. Pepper. But I don't, you know, it's different than I guess I would say a dog. I know some people are different. They probably take their animals in constantly.
I say that's pretty.
But
rare.
I don't do that. You know, if I see an issue and something pops up that I feel is vet oriented, I'm gonna take it to the vet. Most of the time, like if I've knock on wood, haven't dealt with a prolapse, but if I do, it's like from everything I've already seen, I kind of basically know what to do, but I'm still gonna reach out to Ian, to Bill and Gary and all these guys and be like, hey man, I just got a prolapse. I'm making sure I'm doing this right. Anything y'all suggest doing? And if it's bad enough and they tell me, I'm going to take pictures, send it to them. And if it's that bad and they're like, take it to a vet, I'm taking it to a vet.
Yeah.
But most of the time with something like that, I'm going to reach out to the community first. If there's something going on and I don't know what the fuck that is, I'm going to the vet.
There are only so many vets that can handle your problems. There's only so many vets that give a shit about snakes. They may be certified for exotics, but they dip their toe in snakes, but they don't know. They're okay for a ball python, but holy fuck.
Bill put me on to one in Mansfield, the vet out there, and he actually owns green trees, and so he knows about green trees. So I'm lucky to have found a vet that actually green trees, so he knows what's up. Some people aren't that lucky.
I like trusting veterinarians, but there's only, maybe they went to college 20 years ago and they don't, maybe that's just not their thing, is snakes, but they're certified to do it. I don't know. Just fucking, if you find a good vet, stick with it. But most of the times I've gone to the vet is we throw antibiotics at shit and hope it works. If it doesn't, whatever. If it does, that's amazing. Most of the times it doesn't work. So it's like, that's been my experience, that 75% of the time I'm given random antibiotics and the snake dies at the end of the day. So take that with a grain of salt. I mean, there's only so much diagnosing they can do.
And I think a lot of it too is snakes aren't people, they're not dogs. So there's not that I'm sick, I don't feel good immediately when it happens. Snakes can be sick and have issues and you not know for a long period of time. And then by the time something exposes itself and you actually see it, sometimes it's too late and it's already past the point of help, but shit, you just noticed it. And I can see that as a good rule to always take your snakes in, but I just, you know,
unless there's so much preventative stuff you can do. I mean, like, stuff always services as an RI for whatever reason. Snakes, the only thing you're like, oh shit, my snake has an RI. What does that mean? Fucking a myriad of things. It could mean anything. I don't think anyone really knows anyone has a real good beat on anything.
A while ago, I kind of got lost. I think William asked, why can you not keep anacondas in cages? I don't know if y'all answered that or not.
You can cages.
Okay. He asked that. Thomas said, what is the most gorgeous snake you guys have seen this year?
I'll shout out a friend. There you go.
Wait, is it the one I was about to say? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I love so many, but recently we saw, what is it? Python's Gone Postal.
Yeah.
Python's Gone Postal. He's in New York. He produced
New Jersey.
Excuse me. New York, New Jersey, so different.
New Hampshire.
He produced the first banana freeway ball python.
It's a fucking
and I mean, like,
snake.
Since dating Joe, he has made me like not like ball pythons as much. But this ball python, like he said, is pink and beautiful. Like, you're never gonna see a ball python this pink like this. So go check out Ball Python's Postal. Python's Gone Postal. Banana Freeway, first
Worst
ever.
Plug of all
it is.
Time.
Excuse me. I said it already earlier.
But yeah, that's a fucking sick snake.
It's so bright and pink, and then it has these yellow stripes that snake is just awesome. Wow.
I personally, of course, it's chondros, you know, and I've seen some stuff. Sickness is always going to be up there. I mean, and I've seen sickness from the time he was out the egg to now. That snake is fucking phenomenal. I'd also say Mosaic is pretty badass. There's one named Halloween.
That's a green tree?
Yeah, these are all green trees. Halloween. And there's some badass, and I've seen, I don't know if he's not on Facebook, but I keep seeing pictures of his shit pop up, and his name is Rich Culver, and he's in Alaska. this dude has some badass fucking blue fucking green trees. And when I say blue, I mean they're like the red babies that go directly to blue, like just badass shit.
Electricity bills,
I mean, $1 million
a month.
These things are just phenomenal. And I mean, the green trees are just getting
crazy.
better and better and better. And you're seeing, you know, like I said, I'm partial to the blue stuff. I love the blue stuff. And if it's green with a lot of blue on it, I'm like, oh, that's badass. I'm not a fan of the dark green, you know what I'm saying? I like that light lime green with that electric blue on it. That just, I love that shit. The more blue, the better. And
also love might line animal, those
the calico and all that kind of shit. There's some badass shit out there. I mean, I can't say specifically any one animal, but just fucking green trees just do it for me, man. They so
satisfy
badass.
Every need.
And it's I feel so lucky because all of a sudden in Texas, you know, there's a shit ton of chondro people in Texas. Like there's a ton of us. And I didn't realize so many people were into chondros until Carpet Fest at Bill's. And, you know, we're checking out his collection. And then you got, you know, Matt Morris, Ken Deal. I might fuck your name up, bro. Ken Deal. Who else? I mean, Bill. There's so many fucking people in the state of Texas that are working with chondros.
Tony with the selective scales.
Tony's got some nice stuff, and his carpondros. He's picked up quite a few of them here recently. Mark Hager's another one. Like all these guys Brandon Sandler. Everybody's picking up badass green trees, and I'm seeing more. And there's a Facebook group, the Texas Chondro Keepers, and it's just so many badass snakes in there, and they're just getting better and better and better. And now people are starting to figure out how to breed them and that kind of shit. And I can't wait.
I think it can all like one good guy like Bill, it can emanate out to like a bunch of people locally. So I've seen like there's a big ball python breeder up here. So like say, you know, there's a big ball python breeder in fucking Michigan with a ponytail. Then there might be a big scene around there or like in the Midwest. And then Florida, there's a big scene, but it like can depend on who's around there and who's into what. I mean, I find there's a lot more colubrid breeders down here than there are in New York because New York, there's no native colubrids. I feel like a lot of people here are into like captive breeding fucking gray bands and stuff that they collect in the wild. There's a lot more people
that's another one. Fucking gray bands. Alterna are the fucking shit. Dude, whoa, I've been looking at a lot of fucking...
The chat is getting very intense. Lilypad says her snake bleeds a little when it sheds, and then someone else kind of said that Lilypad didn't have snakes at all, and Lilypad came back and said it lives in the box next to your condoms. So Lilypad is going for blood, but Lilypad asked, is that normal when your snake bleeds a little bit when it sheds?
I've heard of it happening, not to me.
I mean, I haven't had it happen, but it could be a number of things. It could just, you know, I don't know. If it's having issues like that, that's probably something. If it's a lot of blood, like something to be worried about, to the vet. You know, if it's an adult female, it could be a seasonal thing. You know, that it's that time of year that it's ready to breed, because some of that times I guess it happens. I have
no idea.
Lilypad, give us some more info. What type of snake, when during the year does that happen? And someone else asked another question. Ben Siegel posted a photo of an albino black racer baby. Did y'all see that?
I love racers and coach whips and stuff. I think they're really, really cool. He also had an albino blue tongue, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, they're out there, man. All those morphs are out there in some way or another, just if we found them or not.
Lilypad said it's literally just a drop, and he's a 6-month-old ball python.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I probably wouldn't worry about that.
Unless there's an open.
I mean, if you feel like if it's something that you honestly feel like is an issue, bet.
And we are not the ball python people. There's plenty of ball python people out there, and we're not them. But it doesn't sound like an issue. I've never had a problem with that.
You used to keep ball pythons.
never really had that happen.
But if it's just a drop, you wouldn't ever.
Unless there's an open cut or something like that, then you always need to worry about shit like that.
A ball python butt cut.
Okay, people are sliding into DMs on the chat. Like, it's getting very interesting.
I want to talk about great bands, though.
Yeah,
Okay,
fuck yeah. Let's talk about some alternative.
Wait, hold on.
That's
He
what I'm
said,
talking about.
MMD Buddy said, during a shed, my corn snake lost a few scales. He decided to fix her immunity and make her scale. Wait, what? And
That doesn't
make
make
sure
any
her
sense.
scales did not get lost shed after she didn't lose any. I think maybe it was the humidity.
You mean
I-
you left some shit on?
I've seen certain snakes when it's almost like a rub, like when they shed, it's like their scales actually come off. And I think it, you know, I've rarely had that happen. I've seen that in like Burmese pythons
Really?
more than anything, to where they'll shed and then you see like pieces of the scales missing, to where they actually shed off the scale.
Never
But
seen that before.
I don't know what would cause it.
I've
again,
definitely never
vets.
seen it in a corn snake. They pretty much always shed just fine. But yeah, I find a lot of people here in Texas, more than anywhere else, keep like gray bands.
Well, gray bands, especially because they're here. You know,
Yeah.
you go to Southwest Texas, West Texas, and I think into New Mexico, you're finding gray bands. Those are some badass little king snakes. The fucking grays. I've always been a fan of the Blair phase, that those orange saddles and that gray body. But lately, man, more and more, I'm liking just the gray and the black. And I mean, a lot of it is locale specific to the certain area they're found in. So certain area, different rock cuts produce certain looking animals for the most part. And
people get down to the GPS.
Oh yeah, like they're literally found on this highway in this rock cut, or they're west of this on this rock cut, or actual, like, you know, there's Busy Cut, which is the name of an actual cut of rock. They call it Busy Cut. There's actually Busy Cut alternative, and I mean that's badass. And I mean, some people just buy them and throw them together, and cool, whatever. But some people get into these, you know, the pairings. I want to pair my 277 with a 277. I want to pair my black gap with a black gap, you know, and that shit is cool. And they produce a certain look to them, and I think that's shit. I fucking love.
Now I think there's leucistics out there.
Yeah, Stu. I was
gonna
gonna say Stu had some leucistics, and I think he had a ghost and a hypo.
The leucistic, it's recessive, but the codominant looks hypo. So I think it's really just a codominant with the superforms leucistic, but the codom looks very hypo-ish, stuff like that. Like you can tell which one's not. So I think it's really just a codominant.
I fucking love some alternative. That's something else I can't wait to get into, because man, they are just so cool, and they're not big snakes. They're not super expensive. You know, chondros can get a little pricey. They're not really big, but they get pricey. I mean, you're looking at some badass snakes, and you're spending anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 on something.
My thing is, you don't know what you're getting,
and you don't. If you buy it as a baby, you don't. You know,
Yeah.
it could turn this badass blue line and 2 blue parents, and you buy it for $3,500. Go home, and in 6 months the bitch turns green. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The shit happens. But with these guys, the Alterna, you know, they're not super expensive. The biggest issue I've seen is babies, you know, trying to get them off of that lizard, because they're predominantly lizard eaters, and so trying to switch them from lizards to pinks. But they're badass, man. I can't wait to get some Alterna.
Different subject. Someone said, my corn snake is 1 year old and it's 3.5 feet. Is that a huge fucking corn for that age, or just normal?
That fuck wasn't necessary, right?
Sorry, I read it, the comment exactly how it came.
Fuck.
Is that
Gotta
normal?
say fucking fuck.
Is that normal or big? For a 1 year old,
I would say
3.5 feet.
that's pretty big. I mean, that's pretty much adult size. 3.5 to 5
How
feet.
often are you feeding it?
Yeah, I mean, that really is just looking at general body shape. I mean, you could have a mutant that's just fucking huge, and that's genetics. And that's a good
Wait,
question.
I'm sorry. Lily Beth said Melissa isn't hungry yet. That I was thinking about, like, I was like, damn, I'm hungry. And that's usually my line of how I end this, is that I'm hungry. But since we have a special guest, Lily Pad, I thought I wouldn't bring up the fact that I'm hungry. But
Look,
that's
I
sad.
fucking like to eat. So she starts talking about food. I'm like, what you fucking got in the refrigerator?
Sad.
Shit.
That is sad that's become my thing, that people know I say I'm hungry, and that's how we end this
Yeah,
I'm always hungry.
podcast.
I mean, like a small mouse once a week, once they get to that range, I mean, you might want to slow it down. It depends if you want to breed. If it's a male, you want to keep those more towards the small side. In comparison to the females, you might want to put more weight on them. But yeah, I would chill out with feeding. I mean, it also depends, like, is it a fucking sausage? Can you see rolls if it's in a coil, are there rolls throughout the whole body? Or is it, one nice, decent looking muscular snake? I mean, it's all sight and stuff like that. So I can't say for sure.
Something's going down between lily pad and
I don't know what's going on.
I
I don't want any
what's
part of it.
I'm
going
gonna just,
on.
hey, y'all keep it up because I'm gonna go home and read this shit. So keep it up.
Something is okay. I don't think there's any other. Oh well, Thomas said he wants an indigo,
Yes,
but it's
Thomas.
expensive.
Yes.
Plus, he would have to get a permit.
Yes,
What?
you have to. It depends on where you're at because I know here in Texas, one, you have to have a permit for either species you get, but I don't even think in Texas we can keep.
You can't keep
Texas indigos, and your Instagram's fixed to turn off.
Yeah, it's
I don't even think we can keep indigos here in Texas,
Really?
but I know, or you can't keep Texas indigos, but we can keep Easterns, but you still have to have permits. And then in other places, you can't
keep
Easterns, but you
keep
can keep
Texans.
Texans. But again, permits, which reminds me, I need to go get my permit for my retail.
Oh, Lily Pad said, Ice Cube, get in this and Shrek you too.
Oh god!
I love that I told
Now
those
Lily Pad
names,
is making fun of us.
But I mean, I put out there that's.
But yeah, if your snake's fine size, then it's good. I mean, you can just.
Why is there permits on indigos? What is it about them?
They were endangered.
Okay.
I don't think.
And it's a native, so what you're saying is that they can't tell if it's captive born or wild collected. So you could go out in the wild and just pick up an indigo, and they want to keep you from doing that. So they're just going to make everything illegal because, there's the chance that, I mean, there should be some way that we can track that everything's captive born and then everything's cool. So if you have a black pine snake and it's captive born, you should be able to send it through whatever, send it wherever. But for some reason, their first line of defense is to ban interstate trade, which is like, you got this black pine from Pennsylvania, like it's obviously not wild caught. Why can't you just send it to someone in Texas, send it to someone in California,
out of the state?
But there's no way. They just want to stop trade in whatever way they can because they have no way to prove it's captive born or not. I don't know. That's the way the world works these days. Why does Australia do what it does? It's the only way that they can put a cap on everything. They just
block everything, and that's the way to keep it all in check.
But it's been 2 hours.
Yeah, so let's actually.
Has it really?
Yeah, we're at 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been real.
Man, I had a great time. This was
so
fun.
Right?
This was fun.
Go follow CARTEL on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep. Please do that.
And what else we got? Theportcitypythons, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You have anything else?
No, I can't wait for NARBC. I don't have anything available. I do have one Biok that is available. If anybody's interested, it's on. I think I need to post it up on Instagram and probably my Carpet Cartel page. But they're cool as if you're into green trees. I'm not just gonna sell to anybody. At least know what the fuck you're supposed to do.
We need proof of enclosure. You need a fish tank with a red light bulb and a heat rock, and then you'll be good.
And understand that they're emerald tree pythons.
Yes, get it right.
Stop, y'all.
Right,
okay, we will be all three of us, probably separately. Well, us together. We might not all come. Sorry. We'll be at NRBC in Arlington, September 23rd. Look for all of us.
Ice Cube, Shrek. Yeah.
I will be there all weekend.
We will be there all weekend too.
So vending with Ryan.
He got me a vintage badge, so I'm gonna be behind the table at Ivory Connection.
be
I'm also
near
gonna
Ivory
be
Connection.
walking around and bullshitting with folks. And
If you say Ice Cube, you get 0% off on a retake.
you
So
call me Ice Cube, I'm probably gonna slap the shit out of you in front of everybody.
But if
Oh,
you're
you watch
in
the podcast? Fuck
Oh,
you.
if you're in the Texas area, come check us out. That's the nearest reptile show to now. But our podcast will be back next Monday at 6 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll have another guest. I don't know who, but
what?
maybe
We're just making that up. We didn't make any
I
plans.
said hopefully. We'll try to let's try to get someone else for next week. This worked out well, so we'll try to get.
We'll have to have Evan on a lot.
We'll try to get someone next week and see how it works.
Closer too? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, like we live like 10 minutes from Evan now.
Yeah.
Not even.
Okay, check us out. Port City Pythons, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
We never know how to end this thing.
At Cartel.
At
Oh, we're gonna end it
Cartel.
because I drink enough of these Dr. Peppers. I gotta piss.
Oh, hopped up.
Oh, we've all pissed a bunch. Okay, actual
Good to
gaming.
know.
See us at MARBC.
Woo!
He
Fuck
said,
Brian Barczyk.
he
I'm
said-
out.
He said, can you sing
Alright,
All Star? I don't even know what
Hey,
All Star
no,
is.
I think that was a Shrek reference.
Oh,
Alright,
hey,
later,
now.
everyone.
Okay,
We're
bye.
stopping for real.
Deuce.